Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday the 29th of November 2014. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Woo.
And Robert Kemp.
Ha
That was a woo ha ha.
In two parts, no less. No more.
No more. You're expecting apart from me. What follows woo ha ha?
Kachaka wooka chaka.
Wooka chaka. Are you thinking of the music from Guardians of the Galaxy? What is that song?
I don't actually know.
Hooked on a Feeling, right?
Is it start with the wooka chaka? Oh yes, yes it is. Yes.
Hooked on a Feeling. Man, that film was really good.
That film was so good.
Yeah, that kind of beats a lot of the stuff this year, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably seen like what would be regarded as critically better films this year.
Such as?
I don't know. I think like things like Interstellar have been going down pretty goddamn well. Or
are we going straight to Interstellar? I think Guardians of the Galaxy is way better than Interstellar.
I agree personally, just because I found it's funny. I like funny films that are actually legitimately funny.
But it was more entertaining.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's just better, I think. And if not,
but I'm not necessarily. But I don't. I'm not a good judge of that because I don't think I'm necessarily entertained by slightly higher brow films.
That's not. Come on, you like some more highbrow stuff.
I do, but I'm saying I'm not as entertained.
Right.
If you see what I mean?
Right.
My level is pretty low. I mean, I watched Hot Tub Time Machine again recently.
Yeah, but that's like deliberately pitched low. That's the whole point of it. It's the way he looks at the camera.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Exactly. It's knowingly low brow.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen that though. I've seen the trailer.
Oh, it's pretty dumb.
Right.
But it's dumb in good ways. It's like it's one of those films that I only thought of afterwards. It's like, I probably shouldn't be watching this with my parents. I'm not so sure. It's a little crude in places.
Right, okay.
I always do that. I don't know why.
Do you end up doing that, Zach? Like watching slightly risque stuff with your parents because they happen to be in the room?
No, I don't watch anything on a TV for a start. So.
Do you never go into the room with the TV in? And
no.
Like what?
Unless no one's there, and I just turn on the news,
right.
See what's up, and then immediately turn it off because inevitably it's not fucking the actual news on the news channel. Fuck you, news channel.
What do you mean?
It's like you go to the news channel and
they're not talking about real news.
I remember distinctly some number of years ago when it was like you'd go to the news channel and it was like every fucking 15 minutes it's the goddamn news.
Yeah, and it would have a beep beep countdown and be like boom, now it's news.
Yeah, and here's the headlines. But nowadays it's all just like, I mean,
finance program
when it's not like the other things where it's like here's the finance hour and here's the sports hour and here's some other random interview thing that we did at some point. Yeah. It's like when it's not that,
when it's standard rolling,
when it's standard like news mode, they just spend too long talking to people about every story. Where it's just like, I don't want to listen to your bullshit interviews with this guy who probably doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I just want to hear the goddamn headlines.
Right. So they've gone for less repetition and more content, but the content isn't what you want.
No, I don't like the bullshit talking heads interviews.
You want the repetition so that you can come anytime, get the facts, and then leave after 5 minutes.
They reserve those shows for like the popular news times anyway, like first thing in the morning or like when you get home from work. That's when they run those sort of sequences.
But even the actual news is like still quite long.
I think you always get the headlines at the top of the hour.
Yeah, but that's still a whole hour.
Yeah.
They used to do it like every half an hour at least, if not 15
But then again,
minutes.
the news takes about half an hour just to run through.
Yeah, but then that's because they used to interrupt it with like the headlines, and then they'd go on to the next actual story for the next chunk.
You could just watch the ticker. The ticker's always showing that, isn't it?
That's no good.
Or
that's like not enough information.
Or
here's a literal description of the news item.
Go to BBC News website or something.
Well, yeah, that's what I do when I'm at my computer all the time and not downstairs at the TV where I never am.
So that can't be the only thing you watch on TV because you watch football. We know that.
Yeah, well, I watch that on my computer.
Oh, you watch that on your computer. Do you watch Match of the Day like off the iPlayer or something?
Yeah.
Is that live or do you have to?
Either you can watch it live.
Do they have the licensing to show it like at any time?
They do now. Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
And then it goes up on iPlayer at like midnight on Monday.
Right.
And the advantage of watching it live is because the iPlayer has the rollback.
The rollback?
What, so you can live...
You can go back
rewind.
to whatever was being shown in the last, 2 hours, basically.
Oh, cool.
So if
Also,
the match of the day starts at like 10:30, but I don't get home until midnight, I can still watch it because I can just go back to the start.
I didn't know they did that yet. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's amazing stuff, though. iPad. I need to make more use of it. I barely use it, and I should do.
I barely do. Well, I end up just recording everything I want to watch on Sky and just playing it back.
Yeah,
so
you have that. I only ever watch like downloaded American TV. I don't really watch much British stuff, which is dumb. We should do.
There's still occasionally the problem where something's like not quite made it up to a catch-up service, or isn't up in the correct format, or like the HD version hasn't been uploaded, or that's not just true of iPlayer. All of the catch-up services are like this, and it's kind of it's really irritating. It's like, I just missed this thing like by a day or so, but for some reason it's not on catch-up. Why the hell is that?
And of course, they keep changing the design of the actual site to fuck it up and make it hard to find stuff for no reason.
They also updated the iPlayer to make it so that most of the stuff stays on there for a whole month now.
Yeah, that's
just a week.
Yeah, they're changing it to like. Yeah, that's right. Is it a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going for everything, right?
I think most.
They're going to start doing that. That is really good because I would always miss stuff because I didn't watch it within a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's some series which they're so long, it's going to be like 3 months or whatever. At that point, you can, once the series is over, you can still access the first episode so you can binge watch the whole thing or whatever. So if it's a 6-episode season or series that goes over 6 weeks, you could watch the whole thing once it's done and still have a little bit of grace period to start it. So that would be much better.
But yeah, and then the only other thing that I've ever been looking at on TV is when I go down there and it's not the news, and I'm like, well, fuck news channel, and I'll just go scroll through all the other channels that are on Freeview or whatever. So it's just like catch random bits of dumb shows. It's like, oh, look, fucking Time Team's on War 4 again. Of course it is.
Yep. That and any of the... Oh, what's that the Kevin McLeod show? Like the one about building houses? Grand Designs, that's it.
All right, yeah.
That's always on.
I usually end up on when I'm stuck with a Freeview box and no one's around. Is usually when I'm visiting my mum and she's gone to bed or whatever. So usually it ends up being Family Guy on BBC Three. Oh, okay. It's just rolling Family Guy from about 11 p.m. as far as I can tell.
I don't know. Dave's pretty good. Just catch up on some Storage Hunters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, could do.
It's like you can't get Comedy Central anywhere other than Sky, I don't think. And it's like you can't even get your random dosage of the always reliable Friends.
Is that what's on there?
Pretty much, like throughout the entire day.
Because it was E4 and then they got rid of it and replaced it with pretty much Big Bang Theory, I imagine.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's all my parents watch.
The Big Bang Theory.
Yep.
Fucking hell, man! I used to watch that. Like now, I'm really giving up.
Well, they mainstreamed, didn't it?
It's super mainstreamed after about 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Now it's the biggest thing on TV.
I still find it funny, but it's just not. It's not the same show. It's like it's not the whole. It's not what it.
I mean, I read an article about it, and they make a point that it is like for what it is. It's cleverly written, and the frequency of jokes is incredibly high. Compared to a lot of shows. Like it's like a joke, 3 jokes. Like it's a joke every 10 seconds or something on average.
If it is the biggest show, I'm glad it's the biggest show because man, I've never got 2.5 Men.
No,
it's not that funny.
I've never seen that.
It's another thing that Comedy Central push. Right. Like they're pretty big on showing it, and it's like I don't get it. It's never been that funny.
It's like that.
It's very tame. It's weirdly tame.
I think
despite its subject matter about Charlie Sheen, it's like
I think it's literally about Charlie Sheen.
It pretty much is.
That would be different.
It's pretty close. There's no Tiger Blood, but
winning. Yeah, I think as mainstream American sitcoms go, that Big Bang Theory is fine. But I mean, you don't have to go far to get to something like Parks and Rec, which is like not mainstream but close enough, and it's so much better.
Yeah, it's still funny. It's still better than most things, isn't it? I guess, right now. But
the thing is, I need something half an hour to watch while I'm like eating, or 25 minutes. I don't want to watch. I don't want to start something that's an hour. Or 50 minutes.
I catch up on episodes when Gnome's not here. Like that's my go-to because I've got most of the 3rd season on the Skybox, and I've watched the first 2 now.
Right.
So I catch up on that when she's not here. Like I just need a quick half an hour, something to watch while I'm eating.
That's the thing. I'm running out of those.
I need like something on YouTube to fill that slot.
Exactly.
But it's like I can't.
Well, most of the time I do that. Yeah, most of the time I'll sit down at my desk and watch game trailers or something.
Exactly.
For half an hour and. I mean, not game trailers. I mean, gametrailers.com. Love those
Well,
guys.
also actual game trailers.
I don't really watch many game trailers.
But what you're watching is reviews, which are basically trailers.
Because game trailers are ultimately even more shit than movie trailers. Because all game trailers are the same, but you don't actually gain anything from watching them. Like, at least with a movie trailer, you can sort of get an idea about what the film's about and stuff like that. Game trailers, no, fuck off. They're so misrepresentative.
Always.
But it's just all like cutscenes or fancy shots. It's never gameplay.
Not always.
But no. Yeah, not always, but vast majority of the time.
Speaking
like
of
that
movie
Dragon
trailers,
Age.
by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, we should go back to Interstellar, though. But Dragon Age, though.
Well, no, I was just about to say, because that Dragon Age trailer is the one that's doing the rounds at the moment for
I
me
haven't
on the
seen that.
internet, and it's just like
They've done
like thumping, pounding, like music that's obviously not in the game and stuff,
Right.
and they're just showing like fantasy battles and stuff with a camera angle that's constantly moving forward, and it's like the game is nothing like this.
Well, they've just basically tried to rip off the Gears of War trailer again, because everyone tries to do that.
Yeah, a little. It's not really. It's not.
Where they've got a dramatic song as it pans through the world and shows random things happening.
I wouldn't say it's the same as. Yeah, it's song with panning, but it's not the same tone as the Gears
No,
of
it's
War
not trying
stuff.
to be as like it's trying to be like
The Gears of War stuff is
dramatic
awesome.
and it's like Gears of War is like dramatic and somber,
And weirdly,
whereas that's more like dramatic and pumped up or something.
and it's strangely not that far from the tone of the games either, in a weird way. Like the Mad World trailer and the I have a date with death trailer, whatever it was, and it's weirdly not that far from the tone of the Gears of War games.
But that Dragon Age trailer's been on a lot of videos that I've seen recently. Not as many as that
everywhere.
fucking Kit Kat ad, but like
I haven't seen the
how
kid
are
yet, but
yes, you have. We saw it on the videos we were watching last week.
sorry, yeah, the YouTube one where
Yeah.
it's like the split acting.
Like, how is that still there?
I know.
How much money did they pay?
How much have I not watched it? Is the
Yeah,
thing. 'Cause I've
exactly.
only ever seen the first like 30
5
seconds that I'm
seconds.
forced
Before
to
you
watch.
manage
And
to
it's
skip
like,
button.
and it's like
Yeah.
this ever is really annoying already. It's like I don't want to watch the remaining 1.5 minutes of it or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a real long one as well.
Yeah.
So, like, how much money did they pay for that? Because it's been there forever. Seems like it's been there the whole year.
Maybe YouTube on Xbox doesn't update that often, or do you get it on the?
No, it's on PC.
Okay. So trailers.
Yeah,
you were going to say
I
something.
guess we were about to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, there's a Star Wars trailer. Did you see
Teaser.
it?
I have seen it.
Teaser trailer. Yeah.
And there's a
Thoughts?
cross-shaped lightsaber. That's all I can think
Right.
of.
Yep.
Well, let's go through the list of like dumb stuff. Like from the start. Well, I mean, for a start, it starts with a shot of some sand.
Well,
and it's
and
like
a dude waking up
Yeah.
in a stormtrooper outfit in the
Yeah.
sand, who's obviously not a stormtrooper, or like. at
I don't
least-
know.
why
Like-
not? It could be a stormtrooper.
But aren't they all supposed to be clones?
Not
No.
not after the Empire.
Oh, okay.
No, during the Empire they went.
That's what I meant. Not after the Empire happened.
Yeah, so
I didn't actually know
the
that.
stormtroopers in the original Star Wars aren't clones because
Ah.
it's easier to control the population when you can recruit half of them into the army. You see,
They
they only needed the clones to
never
set
knew
it
that.
up.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
So,
they
yeah.
only needed the clones for the Clone War.
yeah, for the Clone War. You see,
But they all had to fight
that's why the different helmets and
Oh,
stuff.
okay,
Jedis
fair enough.
and shit.
Yeah,
I didn't actually know that. Okay.
so yeah, the clones pretty much died off by this point, I imagine.
Probably.
Anyway, but like, hang on a minute. So this is the 7th Star Wars film.
Yeah.
6 of those 7 films at this point. I mean, it's a whole galaxy. 6 of those 7 films are set on Tatooine, right? Is that right? This backwater planet, right?
I don't know if...
Are there any of them that don't have it? Empire doesn't have any Tatooine scenes, right?
Yeah, that must be the one.
That's it. Because what about Revenge of the Sith, the last prequel? Does that have Tatooine in it?
Not that I can remember.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe that one was without it as well. No, it must have been.
It was in the second one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the first one, and it was in
And the
Phantom
second.
Menace and in Attack of the Clones. I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember it in the third.
In the third.
There might have been a clip of like some fights or something happening in the war, or I guess, but I don't think it was important.
No. Okay, maybe it's not so bad. But I still think but that is kind of assuaged because there are various other scenes in this short trailer that are clearly on loads of different planets. Like there's the lake or whatever is clearly on a temperate planet.
Yeah,
and then
they've been to temperates before.
Oh no, but I mean you've only got so many biomes. That's the thing. You've only got so many biomes, Earth biomes, to make planets out of.
But the sand one is like the laziest one. It's just fucking sand. We don't even have to CG anything. It's just fucking sand.
But it kind of looks like I'd say
like Star Wars.
The sand looks like Star Wars because it's what we're used to.
Exactly. So it does make sense. But still, at the same time, it's like, why do you have to go back to Tatooine every time? But I mean, that's fine.
What are they going to do on Tatooine this time? It's not like is there anything important there any longer?
That's the question. Well, we're going to find out. But apparently, multiple main characters are going to be there because we've got the guy and the lady on the speeder bike thing.
Are they just going to fucking have like sand people turn up again?
Well, clearly, because the girl on the speed bike has a is in like sand person style robes, I guess. But she's got a hand.
The background is sandy.
She's got a sand person staff thing attached on the side of the.
Is it a sand person staff though?
It looks very like it, although it disappears in the next shot. So
it's not like a vibroblade or something.
Well, who knows what kind of? Because vibroblades were probably made up for that Knights of the Old Republic game, weren't they?
No, they were in the film.
Are they?
Because General Grievous's robots have them.
They're really stupid though. I hope they don't have those dumb things. Anyway, so John Boyega, the British guy, pops up at the start, right? Have you seen Attack the Block? He's really good in that. So
I have seen Attack the Block, yeah.
So I think that's going to be super cool. And I really like that because he's like terrified and you can hear just, all you need is just the sound of the probe droid from Empire going, and you know he's in trouble, right? Because he's probably been found or whatever.
Yeah, but he's a stormtrooper.
Yeah, but is he though? Or is he just doing what Luke and
dressed up in a stormtrooper?
Yeah, just like in the first Star Wars film.
Well, the other question is why where did this probe droid come from? Like, what Empire parts are still looking
exactly are still looking? Because then you've got a scene in a dropship with a whole bunch of what are clearly stormtroopers with like high-tech new uniforms and weapons and stuff that are about to go.
Or maybe not. Maybe just like new imaginings of the same armor.
Oh, like retconned. No, I think they must be new versions because it's 30 years later or something. So anyway, and the
fact that the Empire still exists 30 years later.
Yeah, that's the question.
I have Tatooine proof. Like, it's not in episode 6. But
it's
it is
in 3.
But it is in 3.
There you go. So it's in 6 out of 7 films at this point. The only film that's not in is Empire.
Yeah, I can't remember where that was.
I think it's only briefly in Revenge of the Sith.
Or maybe is it one of those like flashback shots of something, or is someone dying, or is there a funeral pyre or something that they just did it on Tatooine for no reason?
Probably. Well, no, I know why, because they deliver the baby Luke to Peru and Owen, so it's like a brief scene at the end.
I guess, yeah.
And Obi-Wan goes into hiding there, I guess.
Yes, there you go. Precisely right. It's that scene at the end.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, and then so they're in a dropship, and then the door opens into like nighttime, like maybe a city with like rain coming down, like Blade Runner style. Like, where are they? Are they going Coruscant?
Obviously they're on Coruscant. It's the only city.
Okay, so that's cool. So Coruscant there, and then. But
aren't they just ticking Star Wars boxes at this point?
I don't think so necessarily, because you got the other. Okay, another dumb thing. The girls on this speeder bike thing. What the hell is that thing?
It's
the dumbest shape thing
is
ever.
it just the engine from a pod racer that they've just turned into?
But
supposedly
like
the background in one of the scenes with that little weird robot thing, like the background has pod racers in it and stuff. So.
Well, yeah, that looked like old pod racer engines. But the design of that thing, it looks totally unwieldy. How does it even stay upright? What is in that huge box? Like, if you compare it to a speeder bike...
It's all stabilizer.
I think it might be like a removals van and you put like a piano in that bit. And then the engines underneath. And it has this hilariously tiny little plastic or whatever glass windshield thing, which is nowhere near big enough to actually protect the rider who has to wear goggles or whatever.
I think probably on Tatooine everyone has to wear goggles
all the time. So she's wearing the goggles. She looks cool. But that
shit, why don't they build like a proper enclosed ship on Tatooine? Like, what's wrong with just having a windshield that makes sense?
I don't know.
Too much glass.
So that thing is...
Can you not see through the glass when the sand gets on it? Is that it? Or...
Maybe.
But that thing looks totally weird and unstable. Like, you wouldn't want to go around a corner in that thing.
Could they not just, like, if they've got this repulsor technology or this anti-grav stuff, right, to keep these things off the floor, couldn't they just set up a field in front of the driver so it pushes any sound coming at you just slightly out of the way?
Out of the way, yeah.
Probably wasting power, though. It's probably power hungry.
Maybe. But then there's enough to lift this fucking huge, weird, misshapen lump of metal that she's riding.
Maybe it's a Jawa speeder. They like giant, huge cubes.
They do. That's true. Maybe it's some kind of Jawa thing. Yeah, maybe. It does look. It's kind of red, like the sandcrawlers. So that thing is weird. I don't understand that. The droid is kind of cool. It's like an astromech droid, but it's got a big ball underneath it. And it's going, well, it could work with magnets. Magnets or shit. I don't know.
Is that? Do you reckon that's going to be their attempt at comedy or comedic relief? Or
they'll do droid comedic relief. It's the best kind.
Is it going to replace R2 units? You reckon?
But that should be in every film. Yeah.
They can't replace R2.
R2 might probably be in it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe.
It wouldn't make any sense.
He's in every film.
It wouldn't make any sense for that to be an astro droid, because...
Well, it's got the dome-shaped top.
Yeah, but the whole point of it is, like, you need a bit to attach it to the ship, and the sphere is really inconvenient for attaching to anything.
True. Yeah. Well, maybe it's a different kind of...
just fall into a hole, wouldn't it? It just goes...
It certainly move a lot faster than R2 on.
Well, he has fucking rocket boosters.
Yeah, but that's dumb. They shouldn't have had that shit.
Well, they should have just left R2 like a Dalek.
No, he's got that third leg thing.
Well, as much help as that.
Yeah.
So he can, like, motor. Right? He can, like, sort of walk. And then he can motor.
Really badly.
Presumably stairs are a problem for him if he couldn't use his rockets.
He does that in episode 2, though, where there's that bridge over the canal and they're walking and he's miles behind climbing up the stairs and then he reappears directly behind him in the next shot.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's the droid. And then suddenly we're north of the wall in Westeros or wherever. And the guy's walking and he lights up his cross-shaped lightsaber thing. So, cross-shaped lightsaber, what?
He's going to cut his hand off.
Well, it's like, as I was saying...
That's going to hurt.
It works in theory... because it's basically replicating an actual sword where it has a hilt.
A hilt,
and the whole point of the hilt is to protect your hand.
Yeah.
Works in theory, apart from there's clearly the sideways blade isn't close enough to the vertical blade where you can slice straight through.
Exactly.
It's just a thought, the hilt isn't normally made of blade.
Yeah, but I mean the only thing that actually stops a lightsaber is another lightsaber. So it would have to be. So it would have to be made.
Yeah,
of
but
blade.
it doesn't look like from the picture that the actual guard bit where your hand could butt up against doesn't seem big enough. Like you could quite easily just there's a little bit there, you'd probably nudge it, but then right here there's still lightsaber.
I don't think you're butting your hand up against anything. It's like a normal lightsaber is just like a fucking
tube,
perfectly smooth tube.
Oh yeah, but who knows what would happen in a fight? You know, you might get nudged, and that thing would like.
Well, that depends whether there's any force applied. It depends whether the clash of lightsabers actually applies force to the handle or not. That's never really.
Well, it sort of would, wouldn't it? Because you'd feel it, because it would be like it would stop.
Would you? I don't think that's ever been shown to be the case.
It must.
Do you think the reason why they don't have hilts is because when you clash lightsabers, they don't actually slide? They stick or something.
Oh yeah, they do kind of stick.
But they do sometimes slide up and down a bit,
they do a bit. So, because that's the problem with the classic lightsaber design without the hilt is you just slide and then chop the guy's hand off immediately, and that's the end of the fight. So that's why you need the hilt. But you're just right. It would be perfect if they didn't have that tiny little bit of generator that
where the gaff is.
Where the gaff is that screws the whole thing up.
Exactly where you need the bit.
But there's no official law on how much friction is imparted upon two lightsabers touching. So maybe that
probably
is. Okay.
Well, there might not be any longer.
No, it's probably invalidated. Yeah, they invalidate. They don't care about it.
Well, the lightsaber being somewhat sparky and unstable looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did look, but that's kind of cool because
it does look cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's like. Are they breaking? Is this what's wrong with this lightsaber?
Because the original
maybe
law,
it's not a lightsaber at all. Maybe it's a plasma sword.
Yeah,
because the original law was that if you didn't align the crystal using the Force correctly, it would just explode.
Yeah,
right? That was the original.
That's why Jedi's have lightsabers, because they're the only ones that can do it.
They're the only ones that can make them. Yeah. Which is cool. I like that law, so I hope they don't invalidate that. But they just wanted to make a cool cross shape. They were in a meeting. They were like, "Well, we did two ended. What are we going to do?" That was basically
we need three. So how we
we do three. So they were like, "Let's do it like cross shape."
They heard us talking about the noodle tea and thought how they could apply that to lightsabers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Lightsaber tea.
Tea saver.
So that's that scene. And then X-Wings 30 years later that look virtually the same, which is cool. And they sound exactly like X-Wings, but now they're flying like super low over a lake.
It's a cool looking shot. I mean, it showed off
way cool.
The CG looks good.
Looks great.
If you put it next to the like any of the previous films, I guess that just stands out.
Oh,
it's a high quality shot.
Was there any old lore versions of like space fighters that came after the X-Wing that we knew about?
But they invalidated the
universe,
didn't they? So there's
is there any that would have been any designs that they might have looked at and been like, we could probably still use that? I don't remember what comes after X-Wings, because Z95 Headhunter is before.
It's before. I think they mostly just use A-Wings and X-Wings in the extended universe. I don't think they had any sequel craft.
Did they keep Y wings?
Well, they were out of date by the time of the start of the first Star Wars.
That's why they're bombers, because they're shitty and slow.
Yeah. So, not like I remember. There were a whole bunch of new TIE designs, for the remnants of the Empire and the TIE Defenders or whatever. The insanely powerful shit.
And the AI TIE Fighter.
Yeah. But I don't remember any, but there probably are.
Because obviously they already basically did their rip-off X-Wing in the prequels, where they had the six-pronged wings.
Oh, that was dumb. But the thing is, the J.J. Abrams film, the new one, they've already shown a new design X-Wing, but they weren't the ones in the trailer. No. They were the classic design. Because the new design X-Wing looks very similar, but it has like big, round, half-moon intakes that marry up into like a circle. But when it splits, you've got two half-moons. Which is different
do you reckon there'll be a moment where they'll just be like introducing someone to their craft, and it's like, oh yeah, we've got this just in. This is special. There's not many of these. And there's like the new X-wing.
The new X-wing,
and then they have some establishing panning shot.
But I like them flying over the lake because the original Star Wars trench run was a homage to the Dam Busters, and now they're literally doing a Dam Busters run over the lake.
That could just be a flyby, like they're just going somewhere.
But why would you
they're in X-foil formation though. They've got them. Yeah. They're in the tack formation.
The S-foils are locked in attack position. They're clearly, and he looks quite determined, right? He looks like he's going in for attack, doesn't he? He looks in that shot. So there's clearly something exciting happening.
I know they couldn't change the uniform, but that uniform has always looked real dumb. Like it's I don't know.
Orange junction.
They did sort of change it.
It is a little different, but it still looks weirdly dated. But that's because they can't
on purpose. Which is kind of weird. And then the final insane Star Wars music comes in, and the insane shot of the Millennium Falcon doing the loop, and with like vapor trails coming off the thing, and then doing a crazy barrel roll,
extremely low flying as well.
And then
that seems kind of weird. It's like they've for some reason in a space fighting like movie, they've decided to have all their space flying action happen about 10 feet off the ground in the trailer.
But that's cool. I like that. And,
ground wars.
I hope they have some space fights too. But yeah, that looks so good. The CG for that looked really
good. Look good.
And then brief split second of classic TIE fighters screaming along and attacking it. And do you notice that a lot of people are pointing this out, but the Millennium Falcon's got a new radar dish.
Oh yeah. That's actually kind of smart.
Yeah, after the one that got knocked off by freaking Lando or whoever was flying the thing.
It was Lando,
the Jewish alien.
Yep.
Anyway, and that was cool. Millennium Falcon. So yes, there's my. There's analysis,
hope, but as with any teaser trailer, as I was saying earlier, you can cut any film into just...
Can't tell from any trailer whether it's good.
No, but that style of trailer in particular, you just need to, like in that particular case, all you need is some sort of ominous voiceover and or just a soundtrack that occasionally goes blah. Well, and there you go, you've got a teaser trailer.
Well, I'll tell you, I can contrast it with the teaser trailer for Jurassic World, which had some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard.
Okay,
what the fuck was going on?
You're right. They didn't need to do much with that trailer, but somehow they did too much, and it looks terrible.
The plotline sounds... Why? You've got dinosaurs. Why do you have to invent a Godzilla dinosaur?
Yeah, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to in the case of those shots, they're trying to say, oh look, they're doing the first. This is so reminiscent of the first film with the shot for shot recreation almost. Just with hey, look what we can do now with our CG budget. We can make this work.
Whatever.
And it's just something about it just feels so off. It's because they didn't do the thing. If they just faded into a shot of a dinosaur, faded out, faded into a shot of slight menace, perhaps that one they use with the claws up the wall, and then perhaps a shot of Chris Pratt looking really scared for a moment or slightly disturbed, and then just said Jurassic World. That's a teaser. That's all you need.
Yeah.
It's like that's like if it was Jurassic World was more like a proper trailer than a teaser.
So, yeah.
If they're going to have like some kind of giant Godzilla-ish dinosaur,
It's going to be crap.
surely this is just going to
It's
turn.
going to be crap.
Surely this is just going to turn into King Kong. It's
Exactly.
like a giant monkey will turn up to fight it.
Yeah. Why would I care about that? The whole point is they're real dinosaurs. That was the whole point. T-Rex, you can't upstage T-Rex.
Well, you can.
You shouldn't.
Like Ultrasaurus.
Yeah.
They are legitimately bigger than T-Rexes.
Yeah.
T-Rexes weren't the biggest
No,
version of that type of dinosaur.
I guess not.
Godzilla.
Yeah, I just think, and like I like Chris Pratt, but that line just, what was it? A kind of dinosaur they cooked up in their lab or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? He looks like Burt Macklin, the comedy character in Parks and
It's
Rec.
not going to have Jeff Goldblum in it, so you know it's already not as good.
I thought he was supposed to be in it. What's he going to be in? Oh, he's in Independence Day. Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
But Will Smith isn't.
Yeah,
Boo!
that sucks. Yeah. So
Welcome
yeah,
to Earth.
films. So Interstellar then.
That film's pretty great, but it plays fast and loose with science, man.
It really does.
It's like there are some bits that are great, and other bits where it's just suddenly, oh yeah, this thing that we did earlier in the film, forget that. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Escape velocity.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit, basically. It's like the film just goes, oh yeah, we need a massive rocket to take off from
That's
Earth.
my favourite plot hole.
But then a planet with a higher gravity.
See, they just fly off
yeah,
in a
they
little spaceship thing.
It's so dumb.
That is my favourite hole in the whole thing.
And just
It's
like that-
they go out of their way to say, "Oh, gravity's much stronger on this thing,"
Yeah.
and then they're like, "Wee!" in this thing. Where's the fuel in this thing? What is the engine powering these weird?
And they do it
like-
multiple times
Yeah.
as well. And it's just like, that just really bothers me. It's like you've totally just lost it at
That's
that point.
bullshit. I
It's
don't.
like, what is special about Earth that means you need these enormous rockets, yet everywhere
get
else
up.
is fine?
That was so dumb. It's the mix of some stuff that they trying to make it serious, and other stuff where they just said, "Oh, fuck it."
Yeah.
Which I
Fuck
don't
it,
like that
movies.
mix. I don't like that.
Yeah,
mix.
it doesn't always work. And, like, without, I suppose, not going crazy spoilerific, so I don't know how I feel about that ending.
Right.
You know, it's just a little too out there.
Well, I don't
And
know
it's-
how I feel about the whole goddamn film. I enjoyed
I was
it.
gripped. Don't get me wrong. It's a long film, and I didn't at any point feel bored.
I did. I got bored in places.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 or 2 spots I got bored.
The ending might have been a little long, like the actual ending, not the sort of end sequence
Yeah.
that causes resolution, but the actual bit at the end.
Right,
I think
yeah.
perhaps went on a bit long
Yeah,
but-
sure.
in a sort of not quite a Lord of the Rings style.
I can't remember. I remember thinking to myself, I'm a bit bored in the middle somewhere. I can't remember exactly what was going on. I think it was they were on Earth and
with Matt Damon.
no, I think
That bit might have ran on a little long, but
I think it was probably scenes with the son and daughter back on Earth.
oh,
like,
okay,
and the
yeah.
family
They
and-
did linger on that quite a
A
bit,
bit of that
but
stuff.
I guess that was the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, I'm not sure it would have had the amount of
Yeah.
power that it ended up having.
Yeah, I guess not. But and I just found like the whole like I found the expository dialogue to be really clunky, and there to be tons of it. Like the whole first hour is characters talking to each other, explaining how the world works.
yeah.
Which I mean,
But then they don't do enough of it in a weird way. It's like they're what they're saying doesn't necessarily actually fill out the world,
No.
does it? Like the important bits that we know very little about. It's like, oh yeah, all the crops are dying. Why? Blight. Okay.
end of story.
Yeah, but that's not important for that
No,
story,
it isn't.
really.
It isn't.
No.
But they spend so long on Earth at the start. You kind of want to know more about.
I mean, they have that whole scene right at the start where he goes to his daughter's school to like talk about his daughter's behaviour, and then they spend like 10 minutes talking about like how Apollo program was like
Faked and
was
stuff.
faked and
all the subtle like politics.
like you
stuff.
would never talk about that stuff in that situation. Like none of that makes any fucking sense.
No.
And like the funny thing is that you've got some really good actors in it. Who do marvels trying to make that stuff sound believable, when in fact, if you just look at the words of what they're saying, it's total. It's so
Doesn't quite
clunky.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the best scene.
I still think it's a great film, despite all of this. But it's just, yeah, it's one of those ones that's like the detail. As soon as you start digging,
Yeah,
or as soon as you start really thinking about it, it's like it's the aftermath of watching the film is worse than watching the film.
Yeah, but I was screaming these questions while I was in the cinema, personally. Especially, for example, that flying off the planet.
I don't know.
Did
you see it in IMAX?
Ludicrous. Yeah, I saw it in 17 mil, like the print basically that they showed for the premiere in Leicester Square.
It's so good.
It was pretty amazing.
It's like they do. Apparently, I didn't notice, but apparently they do that thing where it's like some of it isn't actually filmed in proper IMAX. So it's like it's doing what Batman used to and doing the weird sort of frame changing. Yeah. And I never actually noticed. And apparently that's sort of on purpose because there are bits where they wanted to show like the awe of the universe or the of space or something, and it cuts to the IMAX view, and it's like. And you don't notice it, but the slight increase in frame makes you go, wow.
Yeah. Like some of those shots of like the going through the wormhole with all the lensing stuff, and some of the shots of my favourite space shots were just the shots of Saturn. Pretty much.
They were really good.
They were better than the shots of the black hole thing, which was cool. But
I just like the fact that the amount of like, regardless of how it looks, the fact that they actually tried to. It's one of the first times they've looked at that much detail in what a black hole might actually look at, and actually did. Yeah. There's real science involved that has never been done before, and that made them land on that look.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like
that did look cool.
And it's like, okay, that's cool. This is the movie industry actually, in theory, doing something good other than making a film. You know?
Yeah. I wouldn't say. I mean, visually.
I really like. Oh, there are certain effects. There's one effect I don't like, but yeah.
I would say, like in terms of visual space shots, I would say sort of Interstellar and Gravity are pretty neck and neck. I would say.
What do you think of the sound design? Because that Gnome didn't get on with the sound because of the way it was like so loud, like in music fuzz. I guess that it was blocking out a lot of the dialogue. I really liked that because I thought the effect of it was adding gravity to a situation that would have been pretty quiet, probably, other than like a beeping warning and them going, "Yep, we're in trouble now." Yeah, you know, it's like they had to do something, and I think by going so over the top with it, I really liked it.
I've heard a lot of people complain about it, and I don't know about because I saw it in this cinema in this IMAX version and stuff, so I don't know if the mix was good on mine. But I agree with you. I thought it was really good.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. I thought the Hans Zimmer, the music was good and everything, and the score and the way, the sound design of the sudden changes in like dynamic range worked really well for me. So
I mean, I guess I enjoy it simply because it is so different from, and I guess Nolan kind of does this all the time, but
his films, kind of average cinema experience.
Yeah, his films always stand out, and they're always, if nothing else, incredibly fascinating to watch and be a part of.
I just thought it was really let down by some of the dialogue. I thought it was almost embarrassing, some of the things they were saying. Like, I almost felt bad. Like, I was squirming in places because I thought, this is so bad. Seriously.
Okay.
In places, I was like, oh my God, what the hell? But yeah.
I'm not sure I ever had that problem.
I mean, some scenes.
Robots, come on, robots.
The robots were cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the design of them made no sense.
No, but
but they were cool.
They are cool.
I warmed up to them. Yeah.
Although I did in the back of my head at one point go, "Is Dinklage doing this? Is there a wizard on the moon?"
Well, they did what Star Wars did, that you were saying Star Wars has to do by having the comic relief be the robots. They did that, and that worked.
It did
nicely,
work really well.
Because it is quite a very serious film, so it needed a little bit.
Yeah.
And people were laughing, so that was cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool film. I'd still I'd still recommend it.
Yeah,
you should go see it.
I think overall, I wasn't keen on it, but it definitely had good elements. I was very, very mixed for me. Yeah. Anyway, yes. Have you seen that, Shizzle?
No.
Or anything about it?
No. Well, I've seen things about it.
Do you care to see anything like that?
Well, here's my plan.
Okay.
Over the week over Christmas.
We didn't spoil it or anything, did we? No.
I don't think so.
Really.
No.
Not that I'm aware of. The week over Christmas, I'm going to be alone at the house because my parents are going away. And they have a subscription to Now TV on their TV, so I can just go through the film library and see what's there. So I'm going to watch all kinds of dumb shit over Christmas. Probably not that. That's probably not
Now TV will be relatively dated, I think.
But... You're not alone in the house at Christmas, so...
Yeah.
Oh, man. You have to come over or something.
That's what I've been saying. It's like when you need to get you involved somewhere, you can quite easily come to...
Well, I totally do not need to get involved with anything.
Are you looking forward to
food? Come on, food. That's what.
Yeah, food. That's what half is about.
That would be the only thing. But it's not like it would have been really that different if they had been there. I'd just be in my room instead of in front of the TV watching dumb shit.
Right, yeah. Well, I guess you'll have a whole bunch of new Steam games to play on that particular day.
In theory.
So,
But yeah,
we'll think of something.
I'm sure I'll be able to watch several films that I have watched in the past.
Well, Interstellar, well, are you going to get hold of that, download that or something? I don't know.
Or maybe I'll find another time when no one's around and it eventually makes it onto the Now TV.
Yeah, it'll be a while till it makes it
Yeah,
onto
it'll be
any
ages, yeah.
service.
I don't know if it'll be that long.
Well, it'll be in cinemas for quite a while longer because they're kind of making money out of it.
Popular.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And presumably Now TV will get, because it's owned by Sky, they'll get things after things like Sky Box Office and stuff get a hold of it. Because, Sky will want to shift that on Box Office and make a little bit more cash out of it.
But, if it's on Sky Movies, it will probably turn up on Now TV. Not the Box Office.
Yeah, I think you're right. Once it's made it to Sky Movies, it will turn up there.
So anyway, video games.
Yeah.
It's a podcast about video games. That's my catchphrase.
No.
Any news?
Well, it's a bit light on the ground, I think, on proper news.
Well,
All the games are out.
Yeah.
They're mostly busted.
That is the most news, is that games don't work.
That's not the most... Well, that's maybe the
That's the main news, yeah.
But it's not the most important news.
No. What's that?
The most important news is a special edition of things we haven't been playing.
No, really? Well, okay, yeah. Let's get this out of the way first. We've not been playing Smash Bros. It's like, it supposedly came out yesterday, but I totally haven't got my copy. And it... Partly because, and you can get hold of copies of Smash Bros. If you're not interested in the GameCube adapter.
Or you could also just download it. Of course.
Yeah, of course, there's a digital version. But I totally want that GameCube adapter.
Of course you do.
Because it's like, it solves the biggest problem for me, which would be buying 4 bloody new controllers to play that thing. And it's like, I don't
or
want
even
to do that.
one.
Yeah, well, I could play on the gamepad, I suppose.
I meant one more.
Yeah.
Even if you were going to buy controllers,
you
you'd want to buy the GameCube thingy.
I mean, yeah, you could use Wii remotes, but that would suck. You
suck.
could use the classic controllers attached to a Wii remote, but that would also suck. And it's like, so you'd want to get the Pro controllers, like, if you were going to get one, right?
Yeah.
But or the new GameCube controllers that apparently are likely only to work with Smash Brothers and nothing else. So that seems like a bad value proposition.
I saw that there's someone making GameCube controllers with extra turbo modes and switches and stuff, and they that are themed on you can get a Pokemon one or a Mario or Luigi one, and they plug into Wiimotes rather than the adapter.
Yes, yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, those are I think those are the new
and they work
GameCube
with
controllers, but
and they work with any.
They're classic happy, are they?
Yeah,
okay.
they're classic. I think so.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
okay. I think some of those are official.
So that might be a good option. In future, but right now we want the GameCube adapter.
Yeah, because it makes the most sense.
Yeah,
and so I had my suspicions the morning yesterday where I checked out my order and it hasn't even been dispatched, and it's like normally, even if they're whoever you're ordering from are behind on their pre-orders or whatever and stuff like that, it will be dispatched release day if not before. That's the usual plan. This hasn't happened, and it's still labelled on mine as awaiting stock pick, which means it hasn't even been picked up from a fucking warehouse somewhere.
Right.
Which then makes me think, do they actually have it?
Oh, no,
and it's like, turns out nobody clocking has it.
Well, I heard about this from the American launch a week beforehand, when a bunch of the American stores didn't have any stock either. And they were like, we were only given 2 of these, and then we sold them, and now we don't have any.
I actually went to... For the very rare times I do this, I actually went into town yesterday because I had some banking stuff to deal with.
And you went to the one game shop in the town that we live in.
There's 2.
Okay, there's
2 versions of game, and I wandered into HMV as well, just in case. But HMV didn't have any copies of the base game.
Naturally.
They had all sold out. And it's it's 50 quid if you go to town and get it, which is just for the game, which is bonkers.
50 quid?
Yeah. It's a crazy high number.
Wow.
It's just so much more expensive if you went online, because that's more than the price I've paid for the version with the GameCube adapter. Nowhere had it in stock. I actually asked a dude at both game stations, have you had this in stock? And they were like, no, we haven't had any of them. We haven't even had the standalone adapter. So bricks and mortars haven't received anything.
Well, that's because they wasted all their stock on the American market. And then when they came to the European release, they were like, well, we haven't got any to give you.
It's a whole different... Oh, I suppose with the peripheral, yeah.
Yeah.
The game would be a whole different build, wouldn't it? But So yeah, like, Nintendo royally fucked this one up somehow. It's like,
Nintendo Europe,
or maybe is it just the fact that they tried to do it here at least on Black Friday weekend and the supply line was just clogged.
I don't know. I think there was someone was suggesting during the American launch that they just didn't care that much. They were just like, we're only going to make a very limited number of these, and if they also sell out, great, but we don't really care about whether we're going to be massively understocked.
That sucks though, because they must have like the fact that they were making it at all suggested that they realised
that they did care.
Yeah. It's poor show either way.
50 quid that.
Well, it's poor show on everyone's front. Like, one, for Nintendo perhaps not making any, and two, for the retailers not knowing how many they'll get and overselling. Like,
well, that's not really their fault, though. Because Nintendo...
But you shouldn't sell unless you know how many you're going to get, really. Or at least set some suitably low number until you've told how many you're getting.
Well, they can't do that. Not for, like, a huge retailer like Amazon. They just assume they're going to get as many as they sell.
But you shouldn't. That's what I mean. You shouldn't. No one should do that. No one should sell what they don't have, because it just leads to problems for everyone.
It's just something like something that Nintendo has done... historically, really, isn't it? They never tell people how much of anything they're going to make in any case.
Again, they shouldn't. It's like, none of what you're saying sounds defensible to me. It's like, it's just bad business.
Well, I'm saying that in this case, it's still not the retailer's fault for overselling, because it's always been the case that they just never get told how much is coming out of Nintendo, so that's just what they do now.
I've got this shit with the iPhone 6, right? Because it's not in stock anywhere, right? And it's fair enough, you just, you manufacture them at a certain rate or whatever, and then you sell them immediately, and maybe there's some advantage to Apple to keeping them scarce or whatever for some reason. And you don't want to ramp up your manufacturing to a point where once you've sold all the initial lot, you've got overcapacity in your factories.
There is a desirability problem. Yeah. That it's weird, it's, in the sense that it becomes more desirable if there are less of them and everyone wants it.
But for me, O2, the people I want to buy it from because they're my operator, they're losing money on me because every month that I don't buy it, I'm paying a much lower rate.
Yeah, sure.
So someone's fucking up somewhere.
And that was Nintendo's problem with the Wii. It wasn't the first one. It's like, they ended up making a shit ton of money on it, but when it first came out, it was so scarce that I reckon, they could have made probably more money at launch price by just having the stock. Like, because obviously the price then dropped off over time as it eventually became available. And it's, they just made more money if they had the stuff. It's not like there isn't a whole legion of rabid Smash Brothers fans like myself that just want to play this shit.
Yeah.
How many, though? That's still the question.
And so what have you heard about it? It's good, right?
Yeah, basically. Everyone says it's really awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we'll get your next time, hopefully.
I'm not sure I've heard any news on whether people, because the hardest of the hardcore consider Melee the one to play because it's apparently a more balanced actual competitive game compared to Brawl.
Because Brawl introduced random, where it's like the tripping and stuff that fucks up the competitive.
Exactly.
I heard this is less random than Brawl.
Yeah. They've come back a little, but I haven't heard any official word from the competitive, or I haven't seen any word from competitive players.
This replaces Melee.
Yeah, to say if this is actually finally the one to do that. So I can't judge it in that respect, or I can't judge it at all. But
it'll probably take them a while to decide on that.
Yeah, of course it will. But it's, man, I don't really care if it's good or bad in the sense that because it's always going to be Smash Brothers, and Smash Brothers to me is kind of infallible, and the fact that it's in HD is enough.
Yeah, but
that is enough.
But you want it to be good on top of that. It sounds like it is. So yeah, we're cool. 50 quid, man. I read a story that the general rise in price of video games, probably because of the new consoles and stuff, has apparently, I don't really understand how, but apparently it's had a significant impact on the rate of inflation in the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is one of the drivers of high inflation has been the rising cost of video games.
Huh. Well, I suppose it's seen as it sells. I wonder if they probably sell pretty in terms of money. I guess close to how much DVDs sell for.
Yeah.
In terms of raw money spent nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Especially
like-
because no one's freaking buying DVDs and they're all on Netflix.
But then, would you attribute the higher cost of games because of next gen as to being why certain franchises like Call of Duty, for instance, just aren't selling as much as they used to? Because
well, maybe.
like people can't actually buy them. That I mean, I'm aware of the fact that the price is higher, so I buy less new.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more and more the case with me now that I just don't buy so much at release.
I think a lot of games are still selling heavily. Like GTA 5 just came out again, and it's selling like hotcakes.
Selling hotcakes.
So I mean, I think
I would like to play that.
the reason Call of Duty has gone down because it's saturated. Call of Duty syndrome, and I think Assassin's Creed isn't selling because it's busted.
Because everyone knew it was bad.
So like I think these are the reasons rather than it being because it's. Because I think people, I'd be willing to pay like more. I think because I know what goes into some of these things. If it's good, like GTA 5, for example, I'd be willing to pay more for that than older games because I know how much more went into it.
It's like you're right. Call of Duty at least with Ghosts, at least you could argue that everything leading up to the release of Ghost wasn't painting that game as a particularly new and exciting game. It was just like, oh, this is Call of Duty. They're doing Modern Warfare again with a different story and calling it a different name. Yeah, because that's pretty much all it was, and that's all it turned out to be. No one was wrong there.
Yeah.
But then you look at Advanced Warfare and it had something new going for it.
Is it not selling? It must be selling.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's probably fine.
I'm not sure official figures.
I mean, I think you've still got a split market with the, even though it's a year after the console's launched, there's still people who haven't bought them or whatever.
Speaking of sales figures, apparently the Xbox is getting mighty close to PS4 sales figures in the US.
It's getting up there.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense after they ditched the Kinect and they slashed the
it's
price.
catching up, and it's catching up fast.
Yeah. Well, they had to do drastic measures, and that's
some of the Black Friday deals on consoles. Like, I don't get Black Friday, at least in this country. Like, the deals don't seem that good.
No.
On most things.
I did stumble home late last night, quite drunk, and I did buy Titanfall, which was like 75% off.
Yeah, it's like a tenner on the Xbox store at the moment.
It was £7.50 on Origin. So
awesome!
So I bought that. So
sweet,
so
you might be able to convince me to play it.
Is that the gold version of it as well?
No, I didn't buy the digital deluxe. That was 17.
Is it still 7? Because if you've all got it, and you're going to play it, maybe I should get a PC copy.
Well, we better look now on your iPad.
Yeah, let's say for $7.50, that's worth a punt, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
that's like
by the way,
that's like a third of our.
I'll make sure mine's patched so I don't have to wait for my incredibly slow internet.
That's like a third of our impending pizza bill. So it's like,
it was a Black Friday deal, so it might be on now.
It probably will be.
Probably not for much longer.
Okay,
so
I'll check that out in a bit.
So listeners, you may have missed that one.
But I suppose the console deals were good because it's like they although the price wasn't necessarily lower, people were throwing a lot of stuff in with it. Like you'd get 3 or 4 games in a bundle or something, and it would be like so. Actually, console deals were pretty good.
Yeah, there was a really good Xbox One deal I saw. Your phone!
Yeah.
God damn it! This bullshit rings like so freaking frequently, and it's always like some number that you can't fucking see.
I hate that unknown numbered stuff.
It's like as soon as my mum and dad got an answering machine and they never answer the phone ever again. I think throwing
that doesn't even help.
No, it's the base station, isn't it?
He's chucking the thing.
Unplug it from the phone line.
There you go.
Okay.
I think once my mum and dad got an answering machine, so they never answer the phone any longer. But it rings literally all day. Where it's just like, and the funny thing is,
I just want to make a statement there.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it is that there's the two things about it is that sometimes, even though it's an answering machine and it picks up and does the message, leave a message, beep, all that stuff. Sometimes the automatic machine on the other end still picks up and tries to have a conversation with it. It's like press 5. And that's great.
Yeah. So the robot is talking to your answering machine.
Yeah, the robot's talking to the other robot.
So annoying. It's that telltale gap where you're like, hello, and then you wait like 2 seconds.
While it's connecting to the
Sometimes you can hear that click of noise, can't you? It's like sort of goes...
While it's connecting from the auto dialer machine to the actual whatever.
God damn, I hate that. Cool.
And then the other dumb thing about our answering machine at home is something that I don't understand why this was a design decision. But when the person recording a message or the robot or whatever hangs up, the answering machine says, "Thank you for calling."
Oh, does it?
It's like, what is the point of that?
No one's going to hear that.
No. What? Oh, weird.
Is it just like... Is that just a sort of a replacement to say this message is finished? Like you could just have a beep to do
Or is it one of those ones
Yeah,
where you can
that must
like
be
press
it.
a key to say end of message and then it will say thanks for calling? Or is it one of those ones where you could push a different key and it will let you re-record your message or something fancy like that? Because those things do exist.
I
But
don't know. I just think that's incredibly weird. It's like it's saying thank you for calling to no one.
yeah,
That'd be cool if you had like pre-recorded messages that you can play if you're screening calls with the answering machine. So you can press a button which is like "fuck off," beep, so you don't even need to pick up and do it. You can just
that'd be great. Yeah.
goodbye, or I am not in the office. Goodbye.
Do not waste my time if you are marketing. Goodbye.
God damn it. I get so many calls, but half of them are marketing or robots, but the other half are freaking human being scumbag recruiters.
Oh, recruiters.
Yeah, all I get is recruiters. It's so annoying.
I get those on my mobile. I don't.
Yeah, on the mobile.
In fairness, I've never really
it.
picked up my landline, so they could be calling the landline.
Yeah, no, I don't have a landline, so it's all mobile stuff.
It's like,
Anyway, never mind.
it's like, get a real job, people.
No, I can't remember. There's a triumvirate of there's a what's it called? A trinity of horror, and I can't remember the levels, but I can't remember what the third one is. It's recruiters, and estate agents.
Charities.
No, I know. I mean, like
Charities are pretty bad.
awful people.
Not in
Charities
general,
are good.
but
Charities are good.
Charities in principle. Charities ringing and knocking on your fucking door. I hate that shit.
Never answer the door either.
Just pretend you're permanently having a shit.
Well, that's why it's convenient that my room is as far away from the front door as possible.
Just leave the light on the bathroom at all times. So if you don't answer the door, they can go, oh, like that one with the fuzzy glass. That's probably they're probably having a dump or something.
Well, our bathroom is round the back, so
Although then
that
again,
doesn't really work.
does anyone really want to know that? That's the other thing. It's like, do you want everyone to permanently know you're dumping?
I don't think you care about them. They come to your door and then they leave, and then that's all the interaction you ever have with them.
Yeah, but some people will have that, like, I don't know.
Dump fear.
Yeah.
Dump fear. The ultimate fear. The fear that people know that you're dumping.
Well, that is,
What?
I don't particularly like that. It's like, even if there's someone else in the house, it's like,
Well, no one wants to hear splashdown.
yeah, don't want to think that someone might hear this.
No one
This
wants to
horrible thing that's happening.
no one wants to casually hear fadoop.
That's why having like an extractor fan is a good one.
Yeah,
That helps
slightly
cover.
Well, that's why there
noises.
isn't like Japanese public loos or something. They have like radios that play whenever someone's in the cubicle. So it's like, you know someone's in the cubicle because there's music playing.
But at least you can't hear it.
At least it muffles the...
This is the shitty music.
A little button so you can play different
You need to be
whale
careful.
sounds. Yeah.
You need to be careful that the music doesn't have like a
Dramatic
stop,
pause.
hammer time moment. Stop. Hammer time.
Oh, horrid. Anyway, I destroyed the planet. I waste toilet paper by like lining it so it doesn't make that sound.
Oh,
What?
You
Put
create
stuff down. Yeah.
Oh,
Create a
I see.
cushion, yeah. It silences
create an
everything.
absorbent layer.
Yeah,
I never thought of that.
it's cunning.
It's a pain in the ass to set up, though. Not a literal pain in the ass.
It doesn't take that long.
Well, no,
It depends how much surface area of water you actually have to cover to
that's
get it
true.
to work well.
That's true.
Presumably the specifics of the bowl are quite important here.
Yeah.
But if it's like a work toilet or whatever that has just tons and tons of toilet paper available in reams, you just like go.
Yeah, flush it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Block it up for everyone else.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. It's like you shouldn't, but
Because that's the place where you've got highest risk of random people hearing the sounds.
The shittery.
Shittery. Anyway, this is a podcast about video games.
What the hell are we talking about?
Shit games.
Shit.
Shit games that don't work, I guess. Was that it?
No.
Smash Bros. We ain't got to the shit games that don't work.
Yeah, let's move on to shit games that don't work, I guess.
Okay, that's a nice, neat segue from actual shit.
Well, there's not really anything else to say, though.
Well, yeah,
They've been continuing to not work.
the games that weren't working still don't work. So, yeah, the biggest one, I suppose, is Unity. Still is, of course, glitch happy. There's another patch coming soon, apparently.
And they
but-
announced that they were basically cancelling their season pass, effectively.
Yeah, that's the news part of this, is that they were... Yeah, they were not going to sell any more season passes, but anyone that has one apparently will get like an even extended version of it. So does that mean they're going to like have to plan more DLC than they had planned, or are they refund? Oh no, sorry, mistake. The Ubisoft one was that they were actually just going to give people a fucking game,
Right.
And, like, the first
and
DLC.
yeah,
They should just give away Far Cry 4 if you've bought Assassin's Creed Unity.
But Far Cry 4 is a game that works, mostly.
Mostly,
Yeah, weirdly, that's the outlier in Ubisoft's catalogue this year, because it's, like, good.
That game is clearly going to be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's the same thing again.
It's already been reviewed and stuff.
Yeah.
It is good.
Yeah, it's cool.
And you're right. It is Far Cry 3 again, but no one seems to mind.
I do hear there's some PC issues, so I'm going to kind of wait a little bit on it.
What is wrong? Yeah, Ubisoft's ports this year have been.
Well, I don't consider
awful.
it a port because, like, Far Cry 3 felt like a PC game.
Yeah, sure, but Watch Dogs was a really bad PC version.
That's true.
Like
Unity.
performance-wise, Unity apparently isn't much better. As in, it is better apparently than Watch Dogs, like performance-wise, but not by much.
Yeah, and it's still better than the Xbox One version for frame rate.
Yeah.
It's just like stuttery. That's the problem. That's the Far Cry 4 problem, is something to do with loading. So no matter how powerful your graphics card, it stutters because it's loading content
No, I see.
or
Right.
something. Yeah,
A bad stream loader.
Yeah, something wrong there.
I'd heard some problems with scripting as well.
Oh, really?
The classic. I mean, it's an open world game, but not necessarily even the open world parts of the scripting. Like some of the mission scripting sometimes just breaks.
Oh,
Like enemies just stand still and don't actually do the things that they're meant to do.
I've heard
that's
that.
bad.
Yeah, and that affects all versions. That stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That can happen. Like regardless of what, all open world games have a level of that to some degree.
Yeah, but that's not the open world part, though. It's like the mission story, like specifically built instances of like these enemies are going to occur or whatever.
Yeah, apparently that's pretty frequent in Unity.
Well, yeah, naturally, the game is fucked.
But at least the good thing that came out of Unity is like the no face glitch is pretty funny.
apparently that's really rare. It's quite.
Yeah.
A lot of reviewers never saw it.
No. I think most people haven't seen it.
It's
but
just such a good screenshot.
Yeah,
They must be so sad about that, the people that worked on that is the image of Assassin's Creed Unity. It's such a beautiful game, and all anyone knows is like the guy with no face.
Yeah, I mean, despite that, glitches aside, we talked about it before that Unity seems to be a slightly disappointing Assassin's Creed game anyway.
But graphically, it looks freaking amazing.
Yeah, I'm not doubting
and the
visuals.
faces as well are good.
I'm not, and again, when it works, I'm not doubting the visuals. The visuals look great, but it's just
A bit
bit of
boring and staid.
I mean, there are bits of it that I think they finally got right, like the sound of like the stay on the ground run, control, so you don't parkour up fucking everything.
Right.
It's like that sounds exactly what that
we
game
want.
has been needing since the first game, and it's like it's finally there.
Fixing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's sort of work. Master Chief Collection matchmaking is still fucked. Although apparently, according to most people, it is very, very slightly better. But they haven't offered anything, I think, in the way of they've apologized, but they haven't offered anything in the way of like compensation or anything for unlike Unity yet. But it is getting better, but very slowly. And I suppose the other game we have to mention is Drive Club, which is still totally fucked.
Well, I don't think the Drive Club situation has changed for a long time.
No, that's the thing. It hasn't. No, it's been it been out like a month now or more, and it's just as broken as it was when it came out. And it's a train wreck.
Now everyone's worried about the crew.
Yeah, because it's Ubisoft, I guess. But are people actually worried about the crew? And I say that because do people care?
Well, I guess you could say the people who already care about the crew are worried about the crew.
The crew is like...
What was the crew again?
The crew is the open world coast-to-coast driving game
yeah.
that Ubisoft are doing that seems to be a bit like the later test drive games, I suppose, is the equivalent, I guess.
Well, it's basically...
Or like a Forza Horizon sort of thing.
It's basically sort of a cross between Forza Horizon and Drive Club.
Yeah. But it just looks totally lifeless. I don't know, there's nothing...
Like Test Drive Unlimited.
Yes, yeah. There's something about the crew that just... There's nothing there to grab me.
There's been too many driving games this year. That's the main problem. For some reason, everyone decided to make one this one precise year. I mean, with the release of the new consoles, you have to have a driving game, naturally.
Apparently, yeah.
Hey,
Forza Horizon 2 is good, though.
Hey, random thing I learned. This is off topic, but it's still games, but different topic.
Okay.
I didn't realise that Media Molecule weren't actually the guys making Little Big Planet 3.
Yeah.
Turns out it's Sumo Digital. Those guys can do no fucking wrong.
Oh, cool.
Well, sort of.
So they've made a Little Big Planet game, so when they did what they were asked to, and it's they made that 360 port of Forza as well, Forza Horizon 2, which is supposedly a really good port, given that what they were having to work with.
Yeah.
Man, Sumo Digital rock. I can't think of a bad project they've been involved with. They're just always good.
Cool. Okay, news.
Any other? I don't actually have much other. Pinball news.
Yeah.
Pinball news. Ding 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 ding.
Ding ding. The Pinball news time.
Pinball Arcade is now out on Xbone, so I took a look at what the new lighting model is like at last, and that lighting model has been available on PS4 for like the last year or something. It looks real good. It's got to be said. Like, it's a pretty nice looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the room you're in still looks like shit, but you can make that room dark now, so you can't see it.
Oh, cool.
And just have nothing but pinball lights.
Nice.
It's real cool. But it just reminded me of the fact, oh shit, yeah, they promised that was going to be coming to the PC version, and it totally hasn't. And it's like, presumably, the rumor is that they were working on the Xbone version, and that once they've done the Xbone version, the PC version should be super easy because it's all DX11.
Right.
And it's, 90% of the work or something. But it's still got, like, Pinball Arcade's weird because, yeah, they're supporting it still. Yes, they're still adding tables to it, like, not as frequently as they once were, but they're still lumbered with that unbelievably shit user interface that they said about a year ago that they had a guy working on replacing the whole bloody UI, and that just hasn't happened. And it's Farsight must be a tiny team, is all I can say. And it's yeah. I haven't actually played as much of that as I thought I would once I actually picked up a season pack for Pinball Arcade.
Oh my god, right.
But yeah, I want that lighting model though. It looks good. I'm imagining tables like Circus Voltaire, which has like it's basically got like a clear plastic ramp down one side of the table that's basically just got blue neon underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, imagine that with a new lighting model. That's going to look real good. And it's like, so I want that. I want it. Give me the neon.
They're going to put some kind of new lighting type thing into Eve next patch, I think. The 1st December patch.
There's stuff going on with Eve at the moment.
Well, they seem to be doing not a particularly bad job of sticking to their 6-week patch schedule, surprisingly, considering how worried I was about that and their tendency to fuck up every patch they've ever done. They seem to have succeeded in like the last 2 or 3, so I guess that's working.
Cool.
And yeah, this next patch is going to have some... Although it's the classic problem with a lot of things in Eve, where they're only applying this to certain ships because it's not a lighting model, it's a reflection model or whatever.
Okay.
It's the actual textures of the ships that need changing. So they're going to have to go through each individual ship.
Is it like they need to change the bump map or something?
Yeah, or whatever technology they're using nowadays. But and even at this point, they're still doing redesigns of ships. So it's not just they're changing the lighting of these ships, they're also, some of them,
models.
changing the whole model of the ship.
Yeah.
So there's going to be like one ship that's going to get remodeled again.
Is there like a bunch of ships that are like just look really old now, that their models haven't changed in 10 years or something?
Not since the big remodelling that they did to modernise
They did
it.
pretty much the whole
yeah.
game at one point, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
That last one has stuck pretty well, and there haven't been... It's just like when they do a new remodel, it's like this one ship that's coming up in this patch, it's sort of clearly... It's like a new style of the same thing.
Right.
Like, you can still tell it's this racer's ship. It's like a Caldari ship, so it's all grey and metallic and pointy.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just slightly more detail and slightly more little, like, interesting parts to it.
Cool.
To make it look different. For some reason, it has, like... it's called the warp ramjets, where it has like these flaps that open at the front that have some kind of like backwards facing engines or projectors or something when it goes into warp, and it's just like that's not on any other ship, so maybe that will be a feature of all the future ship models, like the warp ramjets.
Sweet, that sounds good.
That sounds cool. I don't know how like accurate it will be. Like,
yeah, whether they'll ever get round to do all the other ships. It's just like there's so many goddamn ships.
Eve still has the coolest like light speed effect.
It's not as cool as it used to be, though.
Really?
I preferred it when it had the more dramatic redshift. That was cool.
Yeah, I liked the redshift.
Have they got rid of the redshift?
Yeah, that went ages ago.
Yeah, once they introduced the new warp tunnel thing.
But that was cool.
They have, in the last patch, put in a new cloak effect, which is pretty neat. Where it's like the cloak, when... I've only seen it for the coming out of a Stargate cloak, which is like an auto cloak. It's not like a cloak you can fit to your ships, which have a very slightly different looking effect, but it's basically the same. But when you uncloak, it basically like picks a random point on the ship model for the cloak to dissolve onto, which actually looks pretty cool.
Okay.
Hey guys, I've discovered I actually did make some notes about news.
Oh, did you?
And there's some stuff here we haven't talked about.
Is there?
Yeah. Going back to Far Cry 4, there is a pretty big problem with Far Cry 4. Apparently the PC and PS4 versions suffer from a game deletion glitch.
Okay.
Which they have fixed on PS4 by recommending a total deletion and reinstallation of the game.
That's not actually a fix.
Oh no, you can't patch it, apparently. They just recommend deleting it and re-downloading the whole thing from PSN.
Okay.
And on PC, apparently they were going to patch it. Whether or not they have or not is unclear. So there was a big problem with Far Cry 4, just probably not as big as the whole game being totally fucked. Just it would fuck your progress, which is quite annoying.
Yep.
So I get the other weird bits of news, I suppose, like stuff that's not necessarily applying to us, is there's a ruling that the European Commission have been trying to enforce upon mobile app platforms to stop free-to-play games from using the word free when you're as the download button.
So now it
says get. Yeah.
Yeah. They've done that on iTunes now. It's
Get.
Yeah.
So
Get.
I think that's a really good idea though, because it like I don't know,
Yeah.
free-to-play games are somewhat misleading with that often.
Could they not come up with a better word than get?
What else are you going to do?
Get.
Download.
Well, I mean, download is the classic.
Yeah, why not just have download, like, to suggest that there's no cost involved, I guess. Like, cause you could just download this. But that's the problem. Is
Too many
the whole
letters.
reason they said free was because that was where the price usually was.
Yeah.
And you'd click the price to download and pay.
It's like too many letters. They couldn't fit it in that tiny
Yeah.
space.
That had to be
Yeah.
through.
So it had to be get.
So iOS and Android have swapped to using this. I don't know if Windows has, but then does.
Still.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't really work.
No, I know.
Thieve. Would thieve be short of that?
Anyway.
Swoop.
Pilfer. Pillage this game.
Get's fine. Try and get. App get.
Yep, app get.
App get is the name of the package manager on Ubuntu, isn't it?
Oh, was it? Oh, yes, of
It's
course.
like
Yeah.
apt get install.
App get, yeah.
It's apt get though, isn't it? Though there's a T in there for some reason.
I
I can't remember.
can't remember. No.
The one on the Mac is homebrew, so it's like brew install X, whatever, which is kind of weird.
I suppose that makes sense because you might only be using it on Mac to install Homebrew or like programs you're deving.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could probably install most things with homebrew.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. It's better than the Mac installation process is really weird. It's like an X copy install. So when you download something, so step one, you download the file thing, then you open it and it kind of mounts a drive. Then it opens, often, I find, opens a little shortcut window for your convenience, which contains the file, which is the actual application. It also contains a shortcut to your applications folder. And they're like, and they can also change the background of this
To make it
thing
fancy.
to say like, drag this shit in here. And so you literally, all you have to do to install it, there's no installation, there's no registry, you just copy. So they're like, drag this shit in here, and then it appears in your applications. But now they've added, like in the last version, you double click the thing in applications and it says, oh, this is from an untrusted developer because it's not from our app store. And then you have to
shit.
right click and open and then say, yes, I'm sure, or some shit, which is really annoying. And I don't know how to disable it. Anyway, but then it's finally done. But there's no installation process or manager. It's literally you just drag and drop it, but then it's hard to open.
I mean, I guess the drag and drop sort of in a way makes sense, but man, that sounds awkward.
Because what also
it's always
happens
been
is-
like that.
No, well, I don't think this protection there of well, it's always been copy paste, simple.
Yeah.
And the weird drive mounting thing.
The weird drive mounted thing has always been there. I think since like original Macintosh.
Is it because they were trying to like mimic a CD so everything works the same, like for compatibility reasons? Or...
Yeah, I guess it's like a DMG file, isn't it, or something? Is that right? Anyway, and then you sort of eject it, and it disappears off the. Anyway, and then, but what happens to me is it pops up that some of these can come up with this little convenient Finder window that has the background or whatever, so you can drag into the shortcut. But if you set up your Finder to like show the hidden files, it totally fucks that up because it's like got .ds store or some bullshit in there, and it doesn't fit in the window, and then it's like, oh god, it's so stupid. Anyway, I think they probably want you to install everything through their app store, but that's not going to happen.
Because it's more convenient, I guess.
Screw
now.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to download shit and run it.
Boo to Max, anyway. Just like good hardware, but fuck that OS.
Oh, I like the OS. It's really good.
fuck
The
that
new
OS.
one's really good. I installed Yosemite. It's super sweet. I think in general it's kind of more usable than a lot of Windows stuff,
No.
in my experience.
No.
No, you haven't used it, so...
No. Well, last time I used a Mac, I managed to make it break by changing the mouse settings.
Nice.
I locked the settings panel by trying to make the mouse handle a little less crazy with its bonkers acceleration settings that they usually have by default on Macintoshes. And in doing that, I managed to somehow lock the system.
Nice.
So I haven't really used one since.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, and just getting them to talk to Windows PCs, like just for drive sharing and stuff like that, is a real bastard.
Right.
It's
I don't
like-
have to do that either.
No, it's just I just don't like them. I don't find them easy at all. News. We didn't really talk about Overwatch, did we?
No.
Last time?
Is there much to talk about, really?
No, other than it's a thing. I mean, it's so riffing on Team Fortress. Like, just...
Oh, yeah. No, I enjoyed that trailer. It could be great because it's
Don't get me
Blizzard.
wrong. Yeah,
but who
it
knows?
looks
Just
awesome.
don't know.
It is ripping off Team Fortress to, like, nothing else. And I don't mind.
No, why would I get...
Yeah, who cares? It's
Other
like, if
people
it's as
should
good
have
as
been ripping it
TF,
off, yeah.
yeah, if it's as good as TF, then who cares? Like, TF is old, man. But still awesome. But,
Yeah.
So it's about time we had another one that actually looked like it might be able to compete.
And it's kind of cool because they're like... Almost everything they do is a success to the point where... they've got to the point where they had a massive project to do a new MMO, and they basically just canned the whole thing because it wasn't quite well.
Oh, yeah, but it turns out that this is what that was.
Right.
This was becoming Overwatch, and it got...
Right.
The official...
Exciting, right.
Yeah, they can... The announcement that can it probably came at... they'd actually internally probably done that a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And just said, well, we kind of have to actually say something, and they said it then. And then... The fact that they were carrying, in a way, the fact that they said Titan was cancelled, and then the announcement of this practically complete-looking thing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it was fully playable. People have played it and stuff like that, and have been like, "This is amazing." It's like I don't know why they've been.
Why is there no gameplay footage of it? There isn't, is there?
No, it's like a closed room
it's a
event or
closed thing.
something.
Okay.
Like, the only footage that's out there, I think, was one. Oh no, there is some places. Game trailers were running some
Really,
some
I want to see
footage.
that.
I don't know if it's them playing it or if it's just the official.
I don't mind if it's B-roll or whatever.
Yeah, but there is gameplay footage out there.
Cool.
It's,
I need to see that because I watched that pre-rendered thing. Of course, that was because those are
great.
always awesome from
great.
Any of those.
A lot of that stuff is done by
Blizzard
Blur
has done.
Studios. The guys that have done the Halo 2 cutscenes for
Oh,
Master
right.
Chief Collection.
Okay, they look really good.
Yeah, I think Blur are responsible for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, it looked really good.
yeah, excited for
But
that.
it's totally got like an engineer who happens to be a dwarf this time and builds turrets by bashing them with a wrench.
Well,
It's the same in many ways. But
Cool.
then some characters are really friggin' weird. Like their version of the Scout, for instance, has a sort of weird time reversal mechanic where you can run up, do some stuff, and you activate your ability, and then it doesn't change time for anyone else, but your status reverses in time and your location reverses. So you get all your health and ammo back that you used, and you warp somewhere else that you once were. So you can use it to do a super dangerous run, and provided you use it before you die, you can get like any damage you took during that maneuver back. It's like, that's kind of interesting. And they've got melee-focused characters and stuff like that in a game with guns. And
We can only hope the melee works better than Team Fortress's melee.
well, yes, that's true, because the hit detection on that has always been pretty dodgy. But so
Yeah.
it looks really interesting, and
they're pretty good with melee. They made Diablo. Anyway,
That doesn't
it's not
count.
really the same.
no, only joking.
It's not the same.
Cool.
So yeah, that's coming. And also, I suppose, in sort of expected news, remember EA?
No, who are they?
At EA, yeah, EA's E3. I meant they showed off at E3 this year. I think they were saying, "Hey, we're making this MOBA thing, and it's not going to be like any MOBA you've played before, but it's totally a MOBA. So get excited, people!" To which everyone went, "Yeah." Called Dawngate. It no longer exists. They canned it.
Cool.
Probably sensibly. Because it's like, who needs another fucking MOBA?
Well, apparently some people do. Because
It's like, I don't mind...
quite a lot of people seem to be enthused about Smite for some reason.
Well, because Smite is a bit more... Smite is different to League of Legends and Dota. It's, direct control and stuff.
It's not that different.
No, I mean, mechanically, like, the actual rules are the same, but the way you play it is different. And that's why I like... That's kind of why I like Awesomenauts and why we like Monday Night Combat, really, isn't it? Because, like, mechanically and the rules are sort of the same, but you're just playing it in a different way. There's no reason not to write it off because it's... Or not to call it different simply because of that. Because that's what Monday Night Combat was. Come on, and that's what Awesomenauts is.
It's not really, though, because Monday Night Combat didn't hinge on the MOBA-style gameplay as much.
It sort of did. You needed the creep to, like, drop shields and you built turrets.
I don't think you really did, though. Because it's like the players did so much more damage than the robots that...
But you needed the robots to reach the core in order to be able to
yeah,
at the end.
it was like they only needed to get there to take down the shields, basically. So it wasn't really about how the robots were fighting each other, or even the turrets that much. The turrets were only there to kill the players.
They did attack bots, though, right?
Well, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
The bots were basically just a distraction.
But it's most of the mechanics are there from MOBA Town.
But also, yeah, but not all of the deep mechanics. There wasn't like towers for a start. There wasn't any mid-level.
No, true.
Points.
The games were a little more fast-paced because of it.
And there wasn't any like any of the other bullshit that the different MOBAs have, last hits and denies and all that crap.
Oh yeah, and that stuff is kind of irritating anyway.
Yeah.
But there was sort of last hits, isn't it? Because you received direct cash for killing bots, didn't you?
No, you had to pick up the pickups. It's not exactly last hits. It was more like dog tags.
I guess. I thought you got something for being the guy that actually landed the shot. So you could be a sniper, for instance, and still get paid.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Pick up bombs.
Pick up the pickups.
Yeah, pick up the churros.
Yep.
Churro! I still do that every time someone says churro.
Yeah.
Which is surprisingly frequent recently. I don't know, it's like churros becoming a thing over here as well. Churro! Yeah, but as far as anyone could tell, I think it had been in an extended beta period and the community wasn't really on fire. Or like closed beta or something. From what I've heard, it was just another MOBA. Like, it wasn't really doing anything enough different to really drag people away from Dota or League. Was the impression. So they canned it. And it's like, okay, fine.
Well, they spoke some bullshit about it having a story or whatever. That was their thing. But then surprised the people didn't care.
Yeah. No one plays a game like that for the story. Come on.
So
in a weird way, like, despite EA cancelling a game, this has actually been a good year for EA, comparatively. Like, because they haven't released much. Like, they released Titanfall and Dragon Age, really, and both of those have been well received.
They're good, yeah. I got a free... When I logged into Origin, for some reason, they gave me a free copy of Crusader No Remorse from 1995.
Yes, we've talked about that before, I think.
I was like, okay, I'll install that for some reason.
Yeah, I got that.
So that's hilarious.
I got a copy of, like, Wing Commander 3 at one point well, or something, through their weird old games program.
It was free Peggle.
Oh, yeah, but that's fine. I don't care. Like, I've played Peggle 1 to death on my Xbox.
Yep.
But Peggle 2 is like a $5 at the moment on Xbox.
News,
that's it. That's my news done.
Moving on, what you been playing?
Games!
Zach, what have you been playing, man?
Games!
I don't know. The only thing...
More Civ?
No more Civ at all.
Really?
Oh, you stopped on the Civ?
Yeah, that stopped. I finished whatever game I was playing and then stopped.
It just hasn't drawn you in for the experimentation?
But they haven't done any... There hasn't been any... Or not that I've noticed, there hasn't been any actual new patches or anything yet.
Oh, is that what you're sort of waiting for? Patch it and then have another game and see what happens?
Yeah, it would be nice if they actually did something to it. It needs something doing to it. And I'm not going to go and rummage in the mods, even though...
Was that what you put on your like patch request or something? Just need something doing to it?
It's a good note. Yeah, so there hasn't been anything happening there. The only thing I don't remember... As usual, I don't remember what happened in the previous week. Ages ago, and the whole week ago.
I don't think you've talked about Valkyria Chronicles.
Well, no, that's the only thing. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, that's what
I did last week.
Did you get that shit on Steam?
Yes.
Oh, have you played that before, or is it just Rob?
No, just Rob. Of course I had played before. It was on PS3. And that was
Oh, yeah.
after I moved out of Rob's house to have access to his PS3.
And no one's
Yep.
played the weird PSP sequel thing.
No.
No.
So Valkyria Chronicles,
Yeah.
the classic game,
Well, I think you've had my PSP for the last God knows how long.
right? I thought I gave that back.
Maybe, I don't know. If
Alright.
you have, I don't know where it is.
Never mind.
Because no one cares about the PSP.
Pretty much.
So yeah, I played some of that. And, Rob already talked about that playing on the podcast. And it's still good. And it's a good port, so that's good. It's important. The only part of the port that isn't good is for some reason they decided not to make the book mode mouse operable.
Oh, really?
So you just have to use dumb keyboard the way it's so you've got the book and so you use the arrow or WSD to go between each of the little episode box things that trigger the sequences or whatever. But then when you want to go to the different pages, like the headquarters bit and the glossary or whatever,
There's a keyboard.
you have to be F to bring up the menu, then go to the tab select, and then select which one of these tabs you want to go to. Instead of just clicking on the giant fucking tab sticking outside the book.
That is pretty lame. But apart from those, the keyboard controls work out well.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. There's not really anything to it, really, in terms of controls, really, is there?
No, because it worked well on the controller, pretty much. Anyway, some of the management stuff when you're dealing with your equipment and whatever before a level.
I mean,
it was a bit fiddly. But
theoretically, mouse aiming is better because you can turn around faster because it's not rate limited like a control stick is.
yeah, but you're never aiming against the clock anyway.
No.
Right? Yes.
Because it pauses when you're aiming.
Can you play it with an Xbox controller?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
The thing that I find annoying about the controls, which isn't anything to do with the PC version, is just still how the game works from the original, is why the hell do they make you zoom in every time on the sniper scope? Who doesn't use the sniper rifle on maximum zoom every shot? I guess it's so you can actually see when you first go into the zoom.
It's for the initial aiming, right?
But you can tab between targets when you're in aim mode anyway.
Right, okay.
So
Yeah, but you might not be able to. If it was the sniper was panic shotting or something, when you
panic shotting?
I don't know, as in you're firing because someone snuck up on you or something, and you're like, oh, okay, I better deal with this guy who's right in front of my face, otherwise I'm screwed.
Yeah, but they don't.
And
Snipers don't reaction shoot.
No, but I mean tactically, you see someone that's got really close to you, on their previous turn. Perhaps they've shot at you and not killed you, and you've got a chance to fire back, and you have to, because otherwise that sniper's going to die.
But you're still going to zoom in, just to guarantee that you hit the head.
Would you?
Is it maximum zoom all the time?
Exactly.
I need to see all of that nostril hair.
But you need to make sure there's no head outside the circle, so you're going to zoom in as far as that takes.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to see when you were telling me. You'd just have this, massive pink suddenly. It'd be like, oh, I guess that's head? Come on.
I don't think they're ever going to be close enough that you wouldn't be able to tell it was a head. Even with the minimum zoom.
I can't agree with you on this one. It just sounds like that. Yeah, okay, you might be using it most of the time, but ugh.
If they wanted to solve that problem in a logical way, they should have just given the snipers a sidearm.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Just have it so when they get within a certain range, you can't use the sniper rifle any longer. You have to switch to the pistol.
That would make sense rather than no scoping.
Yeah.
Or not no scoping, always scoping, regardless of how close they are.
Yes. Agreed.
So yeah, that's that weird. And also, I mean, the other thing about the book controls of the keyboard is, a lot of the other menus within the book aren't using the mouse either, like the equip menu and stuff. But that's just a list, so there's no real way to make that really effective with a mouse.
I suppose they haven't redesigned those menus, have they, for the PC? It's all the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of awkward in places, but yeah, the actual moving around and stuff is fine. The tank is probably easier to control with the keyboard, I would suspect, because you're using WSD, it's more digital.
Yeah,
It's when you're turning, you're always going to be turning.
Yeah, there was some weirdness with using the analog stick and controlling the tank. You'd move a little bit wastefully occasionally as you tried to. Although
that can still be a problem when because you can look around independently of your movement. Your movement is attached to the direction you're actually looking. So if you're looking backwards, when you push forward, you go backwards because that's forwards relative to the camera.
Yes, yeah.
So that can be a bit confusing. And if your camera's like not aligned to the front of the tank, then you have problems when you start trying to turn and stuff because it starts interfering with which direction you're actually pushing. So it's better to just make sure your camera is aligned to the direction the tank's facing and then turn.
Yes. Yeah, no, that always was a tiny bit fiddly. You sort of get used to it after a while. Probably, as I say, doing things like you said, like using the camera sensibly.
Yeah.
But it's... And just being patient is the thing. You can't just drive the tank like just...
Well, the tank is so slow. You can't not be patient, really. But yeah, so obviously it's still a good game, but there's still, like... I have to analyse its credentials as like, what things in the tactical nature of the game is things that I find weird or awkward.
Cover.
And there's certain things... So, like, the cover system, where you can only go into cover behind sandbags... Which, A, doesn't make any sense, because when you go into cover behind sandbags, it protects you from headshots, when practically the only part of your body that's showing is your head. Because you're kind of crouching down behind them.
Yeah, but for like that... I guess from a gameplay perspective, that would be really annoying, because it's like, surely then everyone would just aim for the head, and it doesn't actually make your head any harder to hit.
Well, yeah, really. Because there's no kind of cover that actually protects the head.
Yeah, they would have had to... I see what you mean, is that it is kind of dumb from a visible standpoint, but like from a gameplay, like strategy wise, that seems pretty sensible.
But what's more dumb about it is the fact that you can only go into cover behind sandbags or the edges of trenches, which are two very well defined things.
Yeah.
But then they made a foolish level design error where they have other objects in the environment which are about the same height that you can't go into cover behind because they're not sandbags or trenches.
Yeah, and they don't have any sort of UI thing, do they? So where you're looking around to say, okay,
here's a bit of cover.
This is cover. This is not. It has to be one of those two things that they define.
So it's like, oh, look, a crate that's about waist height. We can't go behind cover into that. Oh, a flatbed that looks exactly the same height as a sandbag. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah. They probably could have done that, maybe, but then they would have had to have made some UI element to try and identify it,
Well, not
just
really. It's just anything that's like waist height.
But they used to occasionally screw up games like Gears of War and stuff, where like certain objects very rarely, but occasionally there'd be an object that for some reason you couldn't snap cover to, and it's like you just don't ever want to be caught out like that. And once you know it's like just sandbags and trenches, then it's sort of manageable.
Yeah, sort of. And then, so another thing that I found kind of annoying was the fact that in order to have the most number of movement points per turn, you have to bring the four main characters, or three main characters. Because for some reason, having them in the field gives you a bonus movement point. So even if you're never going to actually use the Lancer dude to shoot at a tank, he still has to exist, just to give you more points.
Yeah, which means you have to waste a squad member on him, or...
Yeah. And then if you have to, then retreat him and redeploy him, you're not getting that movement point on that turn or whatever.
Yeah, so you just have to keep your CP providers safe.
Yeah, it's kind of ass in that way. It's kind of annoying. And then I was trying to remember what the third thing I found that was slightly weird was, but I've forgotten. Shit.
Just remember, use Vise.
Yeah, you have to use Vise and Ica.
Yep, they are the pro team.
Mainly because they actually don't have any bad stats.
No.
They don't, because some of the units have literally just bad traits.
Vise just becomes pretty much unstoppable once you level him up. He becomes so badass.
Yeah.
That is the weird thing, isn't it? Like you were saying that some of the characters, you level them up and they actually gain a super negative trait by leveling up.
Yeah. It's just oh look, this guy sometimes just doesn't shoot for no apparent reason.
Yeah, was it the
very unhelpful.
Was it one of them like they gain laziness or something?
Yeah. One of the guys is literally just lazy. He's like, oh, I can't be bothered to shoot this turn. Fuck your plan, whatever you were doing. I'm just going to stand here.
Awesome.
And it's sort of random in that sort of Japanese anime style, with that cutaway going, oh, he's using laziness.
Yeah, he's using laziness to be lazy.
It's kind of fun.
That'd be you every day.
Special move, laziness.
Zack uses laziness. It's super effective.
So yeah. Damn, I wish I could remember what that third thing was. I had this bit of podcast all planned out in my mind, but I've totally blanked on what it was.
Well, you know what? It's kind of fine because Valkyria Chronicles, I think, is a bit of it's kind of known, and I really enjoyed it. Apart from the moments where it suddenly difficulty spiked, and there were a couple.
Have you played through it now?
No.
All right.
Probably not even halfway through. I don't think.
I think he's finding it easier than I did, but then again, I suck at strategy, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
But it's a great game. Yeah,
it's too good.
It's nice to see. The problem with when you see a game like Valkyria Chronicles re-released as it has been is it sort of just makes you think, man, when Sega and whoever the developer was that I can't remember, when they get down to it, Sega can put out some really great stuff, and it's they just don't. They shit out Sonic Boom.
That wasn't even them.
Yeah, that wasn't them. That doesn't count.
No, but come on, Sega should be super associated with making sure anything that's their core branded character
they should,
goes
but
well.
They aren't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm reading an article that basically was postulating that Sega only care about Sonic to sell plushies.
Oh, I remembered what the third thing that I found that is. It's not so much a problem with the game as a problem with preconceptions about strategy games. Is the one thing you have to learn about Valkyria Chronicles almost immediately is that you literally have no chance of getting any good ranks at the end of the mission because it rates you from D to A. Just forget about that. Don't even worry about the fact that you're doing shit because
it's rock solid hard to get good rating.
The A ranks are basically balanced towards perfect speed runs where you basically just don't even bother shooting most of the enemies. You just find the precise route where you can run past them all and just capture the base at the rear.
Yeah.
It's some levels on Advance Wars did that very occasionally where it's if you can get an infantry guy there, that's the fast way to get the perfect rank.
Right.
But in Advance Wars you could still do it in a slower way and still get the perfect rank because it balanced between power and technique or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas in this, it's all balanced towards the speed run, so you just have to basically ignore the ranking.
Right.
Don't worry about if you're getting D every mission. It might mean you may have to grind skirmishes a little bit to get a bit of extra experience.
You have to be a special kind of hardcore to go for those.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few of the earlier missions, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But, later on it becomes a real... But the missions get quite long, don't they? And trying to A rank those must be real difficult.
And it is based on the literal turn that you're in. So the way you can save command points onto the next turn or whatever, that can become important in those speed runs. Because it's you have to set things up on one turn and then execute it all in this one turn.
Yeah. It's interesting, but it's not I guess a ranking system that makes you feel good.
No.
I hate that. I don't know. I am only allowed. I usually try and get there's usually one rank that's over the good rank.
Yeah.
And I don't bother with those. But if I get less than the good rank, I'm annoyed, which is really annoying because it's usually it's gold and then you need to get platinum, or it's A but you need to get S or something. Yeah. But otherwise, it's I don't want to.
I don't know. Yeah, in this game, C is pretty much acceptable, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. If you got a C, you did pretty good. If you got a D, you made it through.
Yeah, and in fairness, on a lot of those levels, just making it through isn't exactly
difficult.
Well, no. Well, on some levels it's not difficult, but on other levels, just making it through, I think, is somewhat commendable. Especially if you've done it without too much grinding the skirmishes or something, and you haven't leveled your team up. If you're just trying to story play it,
that's sort of the problem with it, is because you can't go back and replay story missions, and you are having to grind out because it's the fact that
can't you? I thought you could.
No, not on your first playthrough. You can in New Game Plus.
Okay. You
can replay them as many times as you want. But yeah, so you're kind of locked into whatever you did, and then if you had a mission where you got a D and didn't get any bonus experience, it's I guess now I have to go and do a couple of skirmishes just to balance out the fact that I didn't get the bonus experience.
The skirmishes happen on the story levels, don't they? Just with a different objective or different way around.
I don't know if it's really different.
It's not true all the time. But
they're basically the same, just sometimes with slightly different unit layouts, but approximately the same. Usually less elite guys or whatever.
Yeah, the bosses won't be there, for instance. Or...
Yeah, but it's not the skirmishes aren't. It's sort of a problem of the way that those skirmishes exist is that they are like so precisely laid out sets of units or whatever, and they kind of have to be because of the way the environments of that game work. You can't have an Advance Wars game where it's like it plays out differently depending on who built what and put what where.
Yeah,
the game doesn't work like that, so it does make the grinding of skirmishes kind of not that interesting in the end. Once you've done it once, you've seen exactly where all the enemies are, and they're going to be there next time.
Yeah, I suppose you could try it with a radically different team layout, just because. Like, yeah, use your shit guys or something. Or
well, that's what I've been doing. I've been cycling out people who have bad traits and using them only in the skirmishes.
Okay.
To get them leveled up so I can at least get their bio information or whatever.
You don't level up individuals, do you? You level up the squad.
No, you get the personal bonuses are from leveling up via kills, and then the class bonuses are from leveling up via training.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. And, it's got some interesting mechanics, like the whole relationship system is kind of interesting.
My units are never close together for that to matter.
Weisenhofer, that's all you need.
They're never close together because she's a scout, so she's like a million miles away and he's really slow.
Because they can be, especially on defensive missions, that shit becomes really important.
Well, yeah, I'm sure if they're like practically stationary, that is kind of useful.
It's a neat system. It's got a lot of neat systems, that game. I really enjoy it. It's a little bit of a shame that the story ends up becoming. I'll try not to spoil it for you too much, but it ends up becoming pretty typical anime fare.
Well, it's fairly obvious what's going to happen even from the fucking start.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
When they go into that fucking ruin, it's like, I wonder why that door opened. I don't know. I wonder if it has something to do with this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it does some typical stuff, but there are some story beats in there that are kind of cool that they're there, in the. I don't know how far you've got, but let's just say that the sort of love story of the thing is actually handled quite well.
Mm.
It's not so overt that it gets annoying, but it's I think it's a well-made game. It
is the classic thing that everyone talked about with that game, where it's just like, where it's like 1 minute it's the Holocaust, next minute we're talking about bugs again.
Yeah. And bread.
Yep, and bread.
And bread.
And vegetables. That side mission was a good one. The vegetable side mission.
Oh yes, yeah. But that's is that where you get where you
unlock
the like
vegetable
power attack? Yeah.
Nice.
So dumb. Yeah. That is one of the things that is slightly annoying about those like personal powers, where it pops up the thing and it's like, holy shit, your power is activated, where it will do that several times in a row sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes during one attack phase, like it will happen every defense or something, and it'll be like, aha!
But the one that I had was one of my scouts has the one where when he can see like 5 or more enemies, he gets a bonus.
Oh, okay.
And it triggered like every time he saw another enemy on top of the 5 that you could already see as I was running along. So it's like, wow!
I wonder if it powered him up more each time.
Yeah, it's totally undefined. It's just like, here's a little up arrow on your icon.
Yeah, so something's better now.
Yeah, that is kind of ridiculous. And the vegetable power is the same kind of thing. It's like every time he stands on dirt. So if you run from dirt onto a path and then back onto dirt again, prepare to see that sequence again.
Classic.
So yeah, that's that. Valkyria Chronicles.
That's Valkyria Chronicles. Anything else you've been playing?
Not really. I mean, I finished the monthlies in Guild Wars, coincidentally. It was kind of a convenient spillover from the Halloween at the start of the month, basically, because Halloween spills over into November, of course.
Yeah.
So I'd already got like most of the way through the monthly grind just from the Halloween event, grinding those. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I can, now it's the end of the month, just take an hour and quickly finish that up.
Cool.
Get my monthlies again. More points for me. Way too many laurels that I've never spent. Actually, I did spend some of them quite recently. I upgraded my main character with some ascended, trinkets or whatever.
Ascended trinklets?
Trinkets?
Trinkets. Sorry, trinklets. It's a new thing.
Really, I only wanted it for the one ascended trinket that has a utility. Trinklets. Fucking.
It's like a It's like a ringlet or something. What is it? Something that ends with let that's similar to a trinket?
Yeah, ringlets. Ringlets are a thing.
Yeah, I'm trying. Is there anything else that ends in
bracelet?
Bracelet. Bracelet is a trinket, right?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It's in fact a trinket.
I only wanted the accessory that had an utility infusion slot, so I could put in the plus 20% magic find. That's all I care about. I just want more magic find. And that's that.
And that's that.
I also logged into Eve and queued up infinite skills because they added infinite skill queues. And I was just like, fuck yeah! And then I realised I don't actually have that many skills to play.
What, out of all of the skills in the game?
Well, ones that I care about.
But you could just queue every skill in the game.
Well,
right?
yeah, I could queue things that are like 30-day. Like, I could max out Battleship 5 on one of the races that I haven't done yet. And that would take like 30 days. And I'm just like, I don't really care enough. I mean, I could queue it, but then I can't be bothered to go through the process. So I just queued up a bunch of shit that I had that was not not that long, but it only added up to like 30 days in total. I was like, well, that's good enough. I'll come back when that finishes and
in a month.
See what happens. Queue up some more crap. Continue training skills that I don't care about that much. Missile specialization that I never really use.
Because you're not a
missile
guy. Yeah.
I have a few missiles, just not very many. May as well make them better. Make them as good as they can be. That's the trick.
Rob, what have you been playing?
Not a great deal new. So I actually could probably keep my section relatively short.
Well, that's good because
Yeah, well,
we're not doing too bad for time, but I may actually have an additional problem, like logistical issue.
God damn it!
Oh, you have to actually literally leave.
Well, my problem. In fairness, she didn't. I wasn't warned about this until too late, so I could enact the rule of fuck it, but
it's always a good rule.
Probably shouldn't.
How long have you got?
Okay, let's go through this. I finished Bayonetta 2. That game remains awesome throughout, although I do think it loses its way a little in the final third. Like, the story was actually getting kind of interesting, and then it starts doing, oh, hey, no, actually this does involve all that shit that happened 500 years ago again, and oh, this is now getting really confusing, and some of the stuff you were leading towards actually doesn't end up happening anyway, so it becomes, the story actually becomes a bit crap. Like,
oh, that's a shame.
But not necessarily in a fun way either. It just gets a bit bonkers, and hard to understand. And I don't think the things that happen towards the end of the game are as balls out crazy as some of the stuff that happened towards the end of Bayonetta 1.
Yeah.
Like the whole fake out credit sequence and flying through planets bit, and it's like it's just not as crazy. As it was before.
Must be hard to top that shit.
I know, and they haven't. It's like, in my opinion, I don't think, like, thematically, they haven't topped it. I mean, the fights probably play better than they did before, but that's because they're not quite as dramatic and as nuts as they were before. But there is more stuff to do once you finish the game. Like, there are some trials and things that I didn't realise were going to be there. Like, here, have some combat trials. Which is, I guess if you're playing a game about combat, is all you should really care about. And, I can now start unlocking costumes and things, and eventually I will try the ridiculous Star Fox-based Easter egg, which is apparently, like, super awesome.
Isn't there, like, a Princess Peach outfit as well?
Well, there was in Bayonetta 1.
Right.
Like, because that was one of the extras they added. There probably is, because from what I can tell, like, I haven't unlocked all of the possibilities, and they give you a vague description of what it will do. Like, they don't outright say, oh, you're going to look like Princess Peach.
Right.
But, like, the one I've got, like, was called Super Mirror 64 2 or something, and said you're going to be one of, like, the most well-regarded mercenaries in the galaxy. And it's like, oh, you're going to be Star Fox then, aren't you?
Yeah,
clearly. And it's like, so, yeah, and it totally turned out to be that. And you can then buy, like, little additions to that change certain things, and one of them is obviously going to be a Metroid arm cannon. that actually changes how certain bits of the game plays. Like, apparently there's a Hyrulean sword and shield combo that will slightly change how your attacks work. And
sounds awesome. And
then you can skin the Wicked Weave attacks and things like that with other things. And it's like, okay, there's actually quite a lot to this. Like, silly bonus system. Just to modify things. And there are other characters to unlock, actually, towards the end of the game as well. And I only have one, and it's like, that's made me think, well, are there others? It's like, are there other whole characters I could perhaps play as with different fighting styles? Or, well, they're not really fighting styles as far as I can tell. They're just, slight variants to the stats, I suppose. Like,
right.
Hey, this character makes activating Witch Time harder, but you may find the rest of the moves slightly better, slightly more effective. Yeah. Things like that. So yeah, I had a good time with it, and would really, I'm quite happy to go back to it and keep playing it. And which is weirdly what I've found myself doing with Call of Duty. Like, I've actually started playing the campaign again in veteran mode.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
It's much more manageable than it has been in the past.
Okay.
Like, veteran mode isn't impossible.
I just remember spending so long on that stupid Ferris wheel in
Oh,
Call of
God,
Duty
yeah.
4.
But does it have an outro scene of Doom?
And that's what I don't know, because
That's the
the normal campaign didn't, and I was a bit disappointed, because I think every Call of Duty game up to this point has had something stupid happen after the credits, and this had nothing. So I'm kind of hoping that playing it through in veteran, maybe I'll get to something that does that. And it's like, I'm having a pretty good time with it, because I'm finding it, weirdly, I don't think I'm finding it as hard as I did the first time through, because I kind of know what's coming, and I kind of know how things work, and I've gotten used to the EXO, and I'm still not using my powers as much as I should, but bits that I was struggling with in hardened mode, I'm not struggling with now. So, like, veteran mode doesn't feel that hard to me. Which I'm not sure is good, but at the same time it means I'm not annoyed with it, so I'm fine with it. So I've been going back to that, and playing a bit more of the multiplayer. It does get its hooks in you, the multiplayer. It does. I feel like, I'm not so sure about some of the map design, but the way it generally feels and the way it plays feels a little more reliable than it has done in previous entries. I've still had moments where I've walked up right behind a guy unseen, like someone who was camping in a corner or something, hit the punch button, and nothing's happened. And they've just turned around and shot me while my animation was reeling because they heard the sound, you know. And it's because it's quite a noisy sound when you punch, because it does like an exosuit wah, sort of mechanical lunge noise. And I've had that just not connect, like totally point blank and stuff like that. And so there are dodgy bits to it still, but there is something to be said about when you boost jump into the air, activate the exosuit's hover mode, so you're just hanging there miles above everyone and shooting down upon a fool with an assault rifle before the hover runs out to gain you the strafe medal. And It's like, that's awesome when you pull that off. And there are certain levels that seem to be really good at you doing that, because they're too busy at looking on the ground, waiting for people, and then you're above them going, hee hee.
Sweet.
There are really good things about that. And I tried the survival mode as well, which is basically
herd mode.
It is. It's a herd mode, and it's quite a simplistic herd mode at that.
Okay.
And it's slightly, my experience of it has been slightly tainted, I suppose, with the fact that the other people that have been in the sessions with me have been mostly idiots. Like, hey, everyone is downed and you're the only person alive, you might want to think about reviving someone, as they then just casually walk past you very slowly. You know, it's like, I'm right here, come on, help me up, and then they'll die to like a dog or something. You know, and the matches can go on for quite a while. The longest I've had has been like 40-minute session or something on that survival mode, and it's, you know, it takes a while, only for you to be fucked up by some idiot at the end of it. It's like, it's real disappointing. And it's, so it's a problem. It's one of those, I think, if you're playing it properly with a team, you'd probably have a lot more fun with it, as you would with any co-op mode, I guess. But, yeah, as it stands, it's kind of an irritating side track. I mean, I'll still do it on occasion, because there's easy achievements to get by just playing it a lot, so maybe I'll just do a few more of those. But I don't know about there's a couple of achievements for however long you last in it, and I'm not sure I'll do that, because getting that far seems quite hard. So Call of Duty. I'm sort of surprised with how much I like it. Really, like I'm not. I was thinking perhaps I wouldn't be as into it as I was, but
turns out,
pretty
good game.
Second time through is probably better than the first.
Nice.
And the only other thing I want to talk about, because I've had some time with Sunset Overdrive.
Oh, how come?
They gold subscribers got a free 24 hours of it last weekend, and out of that time I was actually really busy, so I got about 2 hours of it.
Right.
But I actually really quite like that game.
Yeah.
It's like, it appeals to me in the sort of dumbest ways. You know what I'm like? I like that kind of shit humour.
Right.
It is dumb, and it is like, you know, the things they say are over the top, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it breaks a lot of fourth wall stuff, and they do a lot of oh, hey, why am I hearing disembodied announcers and stuff like that? They'll call out like the tutorial voice and stuff. And the tutorial voice itself is awesome. And a lot of people have been saying like, it takes like a good 3 or 4 hours before you sort of get it, I guess, and you sort of feel like you're playing it properly. And it's like, I don't think in my time with it I was really playing it properly, but I kind of understood what they were going for. I didn't have that problem.
Where everyone says that, like, the one thing where it flips and you get it better is like once you get air dash.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
Yeah,
I didn't get as far as unlocking the air dash, but I was having a good time with it regardless. Just because it is again like a lot of games I really enjoy. It's pretty different from most other things I play for. I get a real Jet Set Radio Future vibe from it.
Awesome,
like just because of how you traverse and things like that. It's a little more. It feels good. I mean, I kind of like the fact that you don't just grind automatically. You have to press X to attach to something.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, if you're on a rail and you don't want to attach to it, just don't push X. And it's like...
Do you have to hold it then?
No. You just press it once and you're on.
All right. And then you can detach.
Yeah, and you can... you jump off.
Jump off, yeah, of course.
Or you can press X to, like, on the overhead ones to hang underneath it instead of stand on it and stuff. Cool. I think it works really well. I like the tone. I wish the music was a bit more... I don't know, important to the experience, because it is kind of just generic. Let's rip off Blitzkrieg Bop, but it's not as cool as Blitzkrieg Bop style music. You know, it feels very generic and very
pop punky stuff.
Yeah, just not great. You know, just it's okay it being there in the background, but I wish there was more. I think I wish they made a big deal of it.
Yeah,
like Jet Set Radio did, and I think that would have made.
Well, Jet Set Radio is one of the best video game soundtracks, probably.
Absolutely. But just that one thing would have made it a much better experience. In those, maybe especially during those first few hours, people have a problem with. If there was just something more to feel good about the game, was a bit more of a solid soundtrack.
Because they're taking inspiration from games with amazing. Because there's a bit of Tony Hawk in there. I had that amazing soundtrack with Blitzkrieg Bop on it.
Yeah.
Like all the games they're inspired by have great soundtracks,
and they haven't quite nailed it. It's like
and we're no longer in the age of custom soundtracks off your hard disk.
Yeah, so you can't really do that unless you have some other device playing it, I suppose.
That was a cool feature of the original Xbox.
Well, they kind of fudged it up on the 360 as well, didn't they, by having that sort of network player.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was always accessible, and I did play a few racing games using that thing. I think I played through most of PGR3 with like network audio. But, I liked how the Xbox One could do stuff with your library, play it at the right times.
The original Xbox. You said Xbox One.
Shit,
yeah, it's okay. Easily done.
Cock. I liked how it could do things with your library, like play it at the right time, actually apply audio filters to it and stuff because it was handling it. And it's
cool. I want to play Rally Sport Challenge.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't mind. On the stupid ice racing thing with the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's like if you take my old Xbox and plug it in, it still has the files on it that made up my Burnout 3 soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's like that's the only music files I ever put on there. And it was just a really bad selection of songs as well.
Well, this is the thing, if I was to remember what I put on that Xbox and listen to it now, it's all rubbish.
It's all shit, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. What was I thinking?
Yeah. Man, Burnout 3 was a great game. Anyway.
It was a great game for that feature too.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, really. I'm not been doing a great deal. I've been super busy with work and stuff last few weeks, so it's been tricky to get some serious time in. But...
Well, next time we'll have Smash Brothers. There'll be tons of
don't know about that.
Yeah, it's like some of the rumours about how long that's going to take seems like
someone said that Amazon emailed them and said the new dispatch date was like December 19th.
Oh, that fucking sucks. What the hell's going on, man?
Yeah,
jeez,
it does blow.
I'll be playing Elite before then.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't know if I will. I still need to buy that. That joystick's expensive and it's also out of stock on Amazon because everyone's going to buy one.
Yeah,
so I need
same problem, basically.
I need to order one, but I don't know. Anyway, I've still been playing Deus Ex. I carried on.
Hey.
It's good. I'm now at Henshar Part 2. I just did the bit which is almost a puzzle if you're playing Pacifist, which is save Malik because you crash land. Your helicopter pilot lady crash lands.
Oh, right,
You
yeah.
get shot down. And
I
then,
don't think I bothered actually saving her. I was
Right.
I tried to, but I was I just can't do it in fast enough to stop them from shooting her.
it's hard to do. So it's like almost like a little puzzle. And I knew it was coming, so I got various augments that I thought would help. Like the main one was I bought maximum batteries, and then I ate a whole bunch of chocolate bars, and then I was ready with my cloak. The cloak lasts for ages if you have 5 batteries.
Yeah.
So basically, the trick was run up to the helicopter, engage the cloak, and then there's 2 guys with the heavy machine guns. Run up to them. Apparently, I discovered that if you use the taser thing, it doesn't disengage your cloak or anything, so they don't even notice. So you just run up, tase both of them basically, and then tase the other guy who's nearby, and then one of those droids drops in. You immediately EMP it with an EMP grenade. At that point, you don't need the cloak anymore. And then just mop up basically. Well, there's 2 snipers, so take them out with the tranq rifle, and then run around judo chopping the rest of the guards. And they're still shooting, but they're not dealing very much damage. So you can, at that point, you
judo
can run
chop.
Judo chop. That's basically what you do. You get up behind someone and go, judo chop. And that's the end of them. I mean, I've pretty much played this entirely as it's almost like Splinter Cell. And mechanically it's really good. I was trying to think what they could add to it, because one thing it doesn't do, that they could do in a future one maybe, is it doesn't have the light stuff that Splinter Cell has. So there's no
There's no hiding of bodies in the dark.
You just have a cloak, and that's it.
There is hiding of bodies. You can drag bodies around corners, which you need to do to avoid patrols. But there's no darkness thing. You just have a cloak. But I think it could have worked. Like they could have had that as a mechanic.
It's more shadowy stuff.
Because it's a dark game, but there's no flashlight, so there's nowhere that's actually dark. Like, it's a dark feeling game where it's all at night. It just
looks dark.
Yeah, but there's actually... Because in the original Deus Ex, it had a flashlight equivalent, which was augmented, night vision.
Vision
And I
augmented.
thought, well, that's obvious that it would make more sense than flicking Sam Fisher's ridiculous goggles if you had augmented vision, night vision or whatever. You could upgrade it.
Well, your eyes might glow in the dark a bit, I suppose.
He's already got,
That was how that worked in the original.
Yeah, it was.
Because it was actually a flashlight that came out of his eyes, as well as actually augmented night vision, so he could take off his sunglasses.
Well, he only wore the sunglasses because his eyes looked weird, right? To avoid freaking people out, I think.
And because his vision was augmented.
Exactly.
He could
wear them at night, It was like, you look so poncy in that fluffy coat and those ridiculous sunglasses that you're wearing at night. It's like, well, my vision is augmented, so fuck you, Anna Navarra, or whatever your name was.
I don't care.
It's the maintenance man. I wanted orange. It gave me lemon lime. It doesn't have the awesome characters as the original, like Gunther Herman and Anna Navarra and all those genius stupid and your brother and all that stuff. The dialogue was kind of shitty in the original, but the characters were memorable. Whereas the ones they're not bad. Well, they're just not good.
They're sort of too middle of the road.
Yeah, a little bit. But it plays really nicely, and I think there's a lot of detail in the world, not as much as the modern games, but but it all looks good and stuff.
Partly helped by, admittedly it's slightly overused gold, but the art direction of that game seems pretty solid.
The art direction is really good. It's one of the only games I've ever played where I really noticed the clothes that people are wearing.
Oh, really?
They spent a lot of time thinking about what future... I think they had a lot of meetings thinking, what would future fashion look like and stuff like that.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Some of the clothes look really cool.
Do you reckon that's Square using some of their links? Because
fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, it could be, yeah. I mean, if you go in the office of the tech guy, who's a kind of a dick, because the tech guy in the original was kind of like blasé about everything, would you say? He even switched his sides halfway through the story. And he's like, he just turns up and he's like, you're here, and he's like, well, yeah.
And it's like he can see you hacking into the computers in the office
and he's
reading all the emails, and he's like,
he's like super laid back. Alex Jacobson or something, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. But the new guy, Pritchard, is kind of just a dick. But in his office, he's got a poster for Final Fantasy 20 or something, or whatever it is. Yeah, which is kind of cool.
That's kind of neat.
Which makes sense as well. There's some things... it's a shame that there's a lot of detailed environments and stuff, but there's also a lot of repetition just in terms of, like, every computer is in the entire world is exactly the same. It looks the same. It has the same gold desktop and stuff like that. Like, desks are the same and stuff like that.
Okay,
it's a shame there isn't more. I mean, that was true in the original Deus Ex, that all the computers look the same. But in this one, they're really prevalent.
Okay,
because there's a lot of... There's
just more world stuff.
Yeah.
And so the more world stuff there is, the more noticeably the same... You just pick it, I guess.
Yeah.
You just spot it, and it's like, this is another desk.
I mean, maybe they're trying to say something
Desk
about well, maybe it's like, I mean, everyone has an iPhone, so I guess that's all the same, you know. Maybe they're saying in the future everyone has the same everything.
Yeah, mega corporations have got so big that they only ever make one thing.
Yeah,
it's the best that it can be.
Yeah, so that's kind of a shame. But it also means you know it's a computer and you can hack and you can look at it by just looking at it.
To a point, that's kind of useful, isn't it? Because it's like, if they had tons of computers everywhere and it's just, for some reason this one I can use and these ones I can't.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's cool.
No, that might have been a gamey decision. You're right. You're probably right.
But it's good. And like I say, mechanically, it's really quite slick. And I think that would be a cool thing to investigate, doing a kind of first-person stealth game with the light mechanics of something like Splinter Cell and stuff. And it doesn't make you wait too much. Like some stealth games...
Yeah, the patterns are just so awkward that you sat there for ages until your window comes.
Exactly.
Like, shit, I missed it. Oh.
Yeah, the patience involved.
And I'm not good at that.
Yeah, so... And this one has a quick save feature that works great, so... You know, if you can quick save your way through. If you're getting frustrated by a section, you can be like, "Oh, I got to the next wall. Quick save."
Presumably, that wouldn't work so good on console then.
I don't know. I've never played it on console.
Consoles don't have quick save, do they?
No,
It's like they never do.
They did in one case. I can't remember what game that was. It was a game that implemented actual quick saving on a console, and everyone was like, "Holy shit! Actual useful thing on a console."
I always like quick saving. It's kind of cheating.
It is a little,
but I still like it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's awesome.
So
unless you accidentally get into that situation where you've quick saved in the wrong spot and you're like, "Ah, shit!"
Yeah, then it's nice if you have a little history, like version control.
Yeah. How far back do you want to go?
I was just thinking that would be the ultimate. The other week, I was thinking that would be the ultimate. You know how people pray that they live forever, or what would be the superpower? I was thinking if you had like Git version control for your life, that would be the ultimate, because you could branch at any time. You could go back to any branch. You could live any life. You could flick between them at any time. You could revert any commit. So if you committed every night, you could revert any night, and then you could merge. So you did one branch and then another branch, and then you could cherry pick commit days from one branch, merge them into the other. So you could make the ultimate life where you knew everything, and you were like,
would your age like?
You continue to age, do it in every branch, but you could just revert to any previous day and start again in another direction. Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
That'd be the ultimate superpower, pretty much. I think. Well, not you couldn't do anything that a normal person couldn't do during the life.
The ultimate superpower for exactly 70 years, more or less, and then because you couldn't extend it any further unless you used your uber ultimate knowledge to like develop life extending techniques or something.
No, but you wouldn't have to, because if you died,
you'd have to have a system.
You'd just revert.
Yeah, but
when you were 17.
You'd be going back in time though.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Yeah, but you or the whole world though? That's the question.
Well, you just reset, so it'd be like you woke up on that day or whatever. I guess the thing is, you wouldn't.
Isn't there a film a bit like that, but without the branching stuff? It's like
probably
where they could time travel, but it would time travel through their life, so they could go back to any point in their own life and then redo it, but there was no like branching or anything like that.
Right. You were writing over what you'd previously done. So
yeah,
you
but they also, I think they also had the ability to jump forward or something as well, and there was. So there were some interesting mechanics where
it would fill in the blanks, basically.
I'm trying to remember what film it is.
Yeah, but butterfly effect, wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah, like the example they used in it. They had like Bill Nye in it or something, where he jumped back once till before his son was born or something to see his dad again before his dad died, and then he jumped forward again, and it turns out he had a daughter. And it's like, oh, I've screwed this up.
Yeah, because in my variant, you wouldn't be able to do that unless you merge the two branches. So you'd have to and then it would say conflict resolution. You have to decide which parts of the life have happened in which way.
Yeah, exactly.
Or can't auto merge. You need to rebase.
Man, merging could be I wouldn't even want to think about how a
merge would work. I think you just have to rebase pretty much.
You'd save yourself the hassle.
Yeah. Anyway, that would be cool. So yes, Deus Ex. It's good. I shall finish it probably because there's not much further, right? Hengshell Part 2, a little bit, and then there's the bit with the Tracer Tong going away on the boat. There's the like docks area.
We've got
and then there's the base that you like on Singapore, right? The final base, and then there's the Arctic platform thing with all the zombies or whatever. That's it at the very end.
Yeah, I guess because like the boat section doesn't exist as a whole section unless you have the DLC.
Really?
You know,
I don't think I have
the boat where you're travelling to the Arctic place, where you put yourself into a stasis pod really retardedly, in a bit of a like classic Half-Life 2, where you just jump in the thing. It's like, why did you do that?
Why did you do that? Yeah, okay, that's dumb. Well, maybe I should buy that DLC.
It's probably not worth it unless it's cheap.
Yeah. Well, there can't be that much at this point.
No, it can't be.
Although you never know. Sometimes with DLC, they never lower the price.
Yeah, DLC's weird like that.
Anyway, so cool. And I don't know what I'm going to play next. I'm still thinking Shadow of Mordor at this point.
That looks cool.
Because it would have been Far Cry 4, but I think I'll wait for a little bit on that. And then actually, we're practically at Chris. I mean, I'll probably just play Elite, probably. Anyway. See how I go.
Still more than 2 weeks until that comes out, though.
Right. Oh, you need to. Right.
No, I'm already late.
Cool. Right. That's it for the Saladcast. Would you say?
Yep.
Thanks for joining us.
Good cast, people. Good cast.
Yeah.
Praise yourselves.
Podcast. That is all it is of the podcast. It is all over.
Let it go. Let it go. There will never be more.
Bye.
There will never be more.
Next time,
we
might have Smash Brothers or we might not. Probably not.
Yeah, look forward to the possibility.
To the possibility of a delivery to Rob's house. See you guys.